this program to bring you a special report.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 108 of Not a Robot Podcast's DC Comics review show. As always, I have my amazing co-host here joining me today, Rob.
What did Link say to Princess Zelda the first time he met her? Hiya!
Excellent stuff. And Josh.
I thought it was hey diddly ho, neighbor.
Today on the show we will be
our
covering.
Stuff is funny.
I have a very particular sense of humor, I guess. Today on the show we'll be covering the latest books from DC, and we hope you enjoy it. Make sure you stick around until the end of the episode to hear our top 3 books of the week, the biggest stinker, and to find out which titles may just make the dump list. If you would like to support us further, please visit buymeacoffee.com/NAR podcast for either a one-time donation or subscription for access to our Discord, as well as other exclusive content available on the network. But with all that said, let's get into some news. There was quite a lot of stuff coming into comics this week. I don't really know what was going on in the entertainment side, so if there's anything there, please fill me in. But yeah, let's get into the news because there's quite a bit of it. So who wants to start?
Me, 1 month free of cigarettes.
Oh, Woo. Congratulations! Do we have an applause button?
You know what? I do.
It's probably very vain to give yourself applause, but I feel like it's warranted.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. What a battle. Anyways, tell me what it is I'm gonna be spending that cigarette money on. What's the good news coming this way from Comic Land?
Oh yeah, man.
Before we get into that, though, I might have something that'll pique Brandon's humor.
Okay. Oh, all right.
What did Princess Zelda say to Link when he was struggling to open a door? Try force.
I don't know. That's just cheesy as hell, but I appreciate the effort. I appreciate the effort very much. I honestly thought you were gonna make like some kind of joke about Navi or something. I was expecting if we're gonna go for the Zelda humor, I figured like let's go for the low hanging fruit.
I will have the lowest hanging fruit next week for you.
All right.
Speaking of low hanging fruit,
I heard an awesome pop culture dad joke just earlier today. And that's what would Luke Skywalker be if he wasn't a Jedi? Well, he'd be tattooing.
Oh man!
I told you it was a horrible dad joke.
That is rough. That is definitely rough.
I know there's something there about Luke and Vader building a shed, and Luke says, "Dad, give me a hand," and they just don't know what to do. But like, I can't think of it.
Wouldn't it be a little more like Dad, give me a hand, and he just pulls off his robotic hand and tosses it over to him? You said, give me a hand. Yeah.
Not the one with the lightsaber. Not the one with the lightsaber.
Exactly.
Another dad joke. It was on Harley Quinn where Joker is wearing the apron and it says, "Hi, hungry, I'm dad." I laughed my ass off, and I laugh my ass off because I say that to my kids all the time. I'm hungry. Hi, hungry, I'm dad.
Oh, it's going to be fun. Okay.
All right, comic news.
Enough cheesy humor, yeah. There was, as Brandon mentioned, a lot. Today, the solicits came out. So in true fashion, over the past couple of days, DC's been dropping bombs about all the big things coming out in November, which didn't really leave much else to the imagination for November solicits. Apart from, and I'll start with this, my favorite on the solicits that did not get a spoiler in advance, Nightwing number 98 looks fun as hell, and it introduces, Tom Taylor teased on Twitter yesterday apparently, a new character to DC and Nightwing in general. That he's created. Nightmite.
Nightmite? Oh,
Nightmite.
no.
Nightwing's getting his own Nightmite. Now, this issue not only is the first appearance of Nightmite, but it also ties into the story that Nightmite was reading the latest issue of Seven Secrets and loved it so much he grabbed Daniel Di Nicuolo and brought him into Nightwing.
Oh
That's
my
very fun.
god.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
Oh,
So
this is
Daniel
gonna
Di
be
Nicuolo
awesome.
is going to be in Nightwing number 98, and it will be drawn by Daniel Di Nicuolo.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's gonna be great.
I'm glad
I
that
hope it's fun.
I'm glad that after their pit stop in Metropolis, they decided to make their way over to Nightwing. So that's very exciting.
Yeah, it's gonna be a fun issue in November. Um, okay, so other stuff that came out. Mark Silvestri is writing a new Batman Black Label book because we needed more of those.
Yes.
Titled Batman, the Joker, the Deadly Duo. And this is
Boy.
written and drawn by Mark Silvestri. And basically, Harley Quinn is in a lot of danger. And Joker's kind of worried, so he calls on the one person he knows that can help, and that's the Batman, to team up with him and help save Harley Quinn. Interesting premise, but I feel like I don't know.
Interesting premise. Hasn't been done before, but I feel like it's stretching it a little thin there.
Yeah. Like, how many different types of Batman Joker relationships do we need? You know?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Batman's codependent and Joker is in love.
Yeah.
That's the only one I see. Anyway, that could go on forever.
Yeah. So we'll move on to something a little more fun. DC's Holiday Special. The title is announced, and it is, as Brandon says he loves it, DC's Grifter Got Run Over by a Reindeer, which is a fantastic title.
Yes.
The cover.
Well, I don't know. This is for anyone who ever, and I'm sure this is like a very small crowd of people, but to anyone who is watching like Cartoon Network in the 2010s, every Christmas they used to run the Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer animated special. I would always watch that with my brother, and it was absolutely hilarious because they have Santa on trial. It's a whole thing, and it's like they're trying to.
It's funny as hell.
They're trying to sue Santa to like get the rights to Christmas or something like that, and it's just it is utterly ridiculous. But I can't hear the title, blank got run over by a reindeer without thinking about that. So I saw that, and it absolutely made my day.
And it's Grifter, so that makes it even better.
Exactly.
Yeah, and the cover definitely makes it better too, because he is in fact like getting run over by Santa.
Yeah,
it's perfect. So look for that in November, end of November, actually, not even December, which I feel it's like earlier than they usually release it, but whatever. Holiday season. They also
speaking
released...
of Grifter.
Oh yeah.
Should I tag this one?
Go ahead.
I feel like let's save that one for
the news.
last.
I wasn't able to get it
because I feel like that might be the biggest.
All right. I'll let you
if
get
feeling
this last
your
one
vibe.
out. Yes.
Yeah. Sorry. There's a few more. Quick Entertainment Young Justice season 5 is not coming. They've officially not renewed it. They've said apparently for a while that the latest season was going to be all that's planned, and season 5 is officially not happening.
Yeah, I think we all kind of saw that coming.
Yeah. Last Friday, just after we recorded, like the day after we recorded, it was announced Jon Stewart, the Emerald Knight one-shot is coming in November, to which I just asked the question, why? It's Jeffrey Thorne and Marco Santucci coming back. It will bridge a gap between the end of Green Lantern, I think it was number 12, and in Dark Crisis, as well as where he was when he got blipped away, among other stories. Hopefully they will continue their story in the Dark Sector. I just hope it makes sense.
Good luck.
Preview pages for Batman vs. Robin were released, which comes out next month, so I'm really surprised there's preview pages already. But we got the first 4 pages with a serious spoiler that hopefully most news sites stay away from posting in their headline. But at least I know Brandon and I are not particularly fond of it. Josh, I don't know if you've seen it or if you want to see it. I have a feeling you will not be either. I will not spoil it unless you want to go check out the preview pages, but it is something that is interesting, but I really hope it's temporary.
Yeah, it's one of those things that I'm hoping is just kind of like a tease, but it's not really what people think it is.
Yeah.
But I guess
you
we'll
don't
see.
want to say it right now.
No, yeah, we don't want to give it away.
Yeah, it is really something that, like, to be fair, DC didn't even put it in the solicitation like they mostly do, which makes me feel
To be
like it's
fair.
very much for to be fair, that it's really just in the story or in that issue, and it's not going to be permanent, which is fine by me. But we'll see.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I heard a rumor that Wallace's suit's gonna stick around though. But anyway,
What, the silver one?
yeah.
We'll
I was
see
just
about
saying that to rile Brandon.
Oh, that would be very unfortunate, but yeah. I'm sure we'll talk about that suit later when we get into Flash.
Two more points before we get to the what I consider the big news. Blue Beetle Graduation Day has a first look. It's officially coming in November. Finally got a release date, and it looks awesome.
Sweet.
Hopefully, it's better than Robin's. Which
Took
I was
long
thinking
enough
at
to
when
get
I
here.
was looking at the preview pages. Did Robin's even finish? I don't remember. Like an end.
Yeah, it finished.
I think it
Oh,
did.
wow.
I just, yeah.
It was
Okay.
just that unmemorable.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
completely forgot it existed for a while.
Unmemorable.
And finally, as
word?
what's that? What's this? Comicsbeat.com dubs November Jeff-vember, due to the fact that Jeff Johns has 3 big titles coming out, which is, if I just open this link very quickly, there is Justice Society of America #1. He's finally bringing that in, which is, I think, 2 years
spinning
late?
out of Flashpoint.
Yeah, spinning out of Flashpoint Beyond. There's also the new Golden Age, which is a one-shot that is going to set up things going forward, also spinning out of Flashpoint Beyond. And I was going to say Wonder Girl, not Wonder Girl. Stargirl, I believe, is just called Stargirl. I don't think I actually saw
Stargirl,
it.
The Lost
Stargirl,
Children.
The Lost Children, that's it.
Yes.
Spinning out of the Stargirl Spring Break special that, if you forgot about, it was last year during the summer, over a year ago. I don't blame you. So, look forward to that this November.
That's gonna be a one shot too, not a series, right?
That'll be a 6-issue series.
6-issue.
The Stargirl one,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so Stargirl, The Lost Children will be a 6-issue series. That's Jeff Johns and Todd Knock, who did the Stargirl Summer Vacation special. And then Justice Society of America #1 will be Jeff with art from Mikhail Hanin, and then some, variant cover stuff that's tying into the, well, I guess I'll save that for the next announcement that we do, but
There we go. All right.
some stuff that we'll get into there. But and then the
All
new
right.
Golden Age, that'll be
Yes.
Jeff Johns
Yes.
with art from Steve Lieber, Jerry Ordway, and
Nice.
Diego Orlertegui.
Oh,
And I assume that's paying homage to James Robinson and Paul Smith's The Golden Age, which was I don't know if it was necessarily canon. I think it was officially an Elseworlds title, but it was sort of a take on the history of DC's Golden Age. And this is sort of, I think Jeff is aiming to do an updated version of that because they talked about introducing a whole new generation of sidekicks from the generation of the Golden Age. So ones that didn't exist previously but are now being introduced as a part of the Golden Age. And then that'll continue on into the future. They mentioned the Legion, so I assume there will be some kind of references to the Legion of Superheroes as well, which I think that'll definitely be exciting to see Jeff handle the Legion again.
Definitely.
definitely.
About damn time.
Definitely.
All right. I think that is all the big news I have. Brandon,
Other
do you
than
want
the
to
big
take
news?
the biggest news?
Yeah, well, I don't know. I feel like the Golden Age stuff was probably the biggest news. People have been waiting
fair
for
enough.
a JSA title for, years, probably since Rebirth now.
Yeah.
But
Well,
I mean,
it's
I
supposed
flipped
to be
it
a
because
big book by Jeff Johns spinning out of Flashpoint Beyond. So I want it really bad, but I'm also hesitant. So
yeah, I guess
I
we'll
hope
see whether or not
everybody-
the book is quality. I think people are just hungry for any Justice Society content that, they'll be happy that at least they have a book out now. So
pretty
ultimately-
much.
yeah. So
No more
I know I'm
guest
definitely
spots.
excited for that. No
Definitely.
more guest appearances. They have a dedicated book that you can read, which I'm hoping will be good.
finally.
Yeah, but
I
I
kind of flipped the script.
oh,
I figured that was a little
The
more
roster has me curious.
expended or expected, not expended, expected compared to the what I consider the big news, which
yeah. Well,
like we
I
kind of
don't know. I
expected,
mean,
but there's a lot more to it.
I would definitely say there's some of the stuff that I expected. Number one, because the timing is perfect, and number two, because of a comment that Josh made that haunts me even now, months later, which
Oh
was that
no,
the 90s never truly left us, because this November, DC
that's
Comics is
true.
rewinding itself back to the 90s. But
Yeah.
again, it begs the question, did we ever really leave? Who knows?
Nope. The only thing we downsized the number of pouches
Yeah.
and stop
Yeah.
doing swimsuit issues.
Yeah, it's like every modern historian's favorite joke. Did World War II ever end? But no, this November, DC will rewind itself back to the 1990s, which is also convenient timing because Marvel is doing the same thing with their
Oh,
Extreme X-Men line, or their Extreme Covers line, or that sort of thing. But I guess DC's really going all out with it because they have the one thing that Marvel doesn't have, Mr. Jim Lee and all his properties, specifically the Wildstorm properties, which
Woot
include
woot.
titles that you may have heard of, like Wildcats, which will be getting its first ongoing in probably like 15 years this November, which it will be written by, as I'm sure is no surprise to anyone, Matthew Rosenberg, with art from Steven Segovia. I'm hoping they get
So excited.
Ulysses Areola to do the colors because I think that'll bring out Steven Segovia. I checked out this book. What is it called? It's not King Spawn. He's doing one of the McFarlane Spawn books right now, and I mean, the story is total crap, but the art is much better than I expected a Spawn book to be. So I'm hoping that they have the same art team there, seeing Steven Segovia's name. But that's very exciting. It has the lineup that you would absolutely expect the Wildcats to have, which is of course Grifter, Spartan, Zealot, Voodoo, with a couple of new faces like Deathblow, and I believe that is Caitlin Fairchild, Ladytron, of course, making a return, and
Oh
a
yeah.
character that I'm to be honest, I'm not really sure. It's sort of an astronaut with a skull face that may or may not be Void, but if it is Void, it's no design I've ever seen. So I guess we'll have to wait and see who that character ultimately is. But the premise for the
Spaceman
book,
Bones.
yeah, very well could be. But the premise for the book could not be more perfect. It is Wildcats versus the Court of Owls. Like even if this book is a total wash, that premise enough is worth it to bring people in. Like I think that's just such a it sounds like totally corny, like the exact kind of thing that you would get out of like a fan servicey DC book. But I don't know. I'm kind of just like, yeah, I'll take a Wildcats versus the Court of Owls. Why not?
Oh
But
yeah,
yeah, that
I'll
will be
take
coming out.
anything with Wildcats.
Yeah, no, and I'm hoping they have a lot of fun with it. But yeah, that will be coming out in November, as I said, from Matthew Rosenberg and Steven Segovia. But we're not done with our celebration yet. We have a couple of other titles to get to. A 4-issue series called Waller versus Wildstorm, which is exactly as it sounds. Amanda Waller will be taking on elements of the Wildstorm universe. So we'll see how that goes, as it really involves the Stormwatch, the UN-backed Stormwatch team, or I think they're still the UN-backed Stormwatch team, going up against Waller as well as other characters in the DC universe. So that should be interesting. That's written by Spencer Ackerman and Evan Narciss, who, man, I've been reading that guy's like reviews over on. It's not Root. It's another one of those pop culture websites, but he always has really good articles. So I'm glad he's doing more comic stuff. With art from Eric Battle, who I'm less excited about, but hopefully he'll be able to deliver. But I think that should be fun. It seems like it's a very action-centric and also politically inspired title. So hopefully they get something good out of that. And then the final part of this announcement, one that I'm kind of holding my breath for. Actually, I guess there's two more parts. But
You're holding your
the
breath for
second
it?
to last one Yeah, this is the Wildstorm 30th anniversary special, which is going to be honoring all of the parts of
Yeah.
Wildstorm's history. And the reason I'm holding my breath for this is because I looked at the creative team, I saw Brian Hitch's name listed among one of the art teams, and the first thing my mind went to was the Authority, which means you can't do the Authority with Brian Hitch without doing Warren Ellis. And I know people are going to be clutching their pearls and saying this or that. And for as much as I would not like to see his name here, I do feel like just based on how impactful and important the Authority was to this book, I don't know, it would just be kind of weird not to have everyone who had pitched in and made Wildstorm what it was over the years be a part of this. But that's a whole other topic of discussion that I'm sure we can get into another time. But I'm hoping that maybe they can find a way to honor that team without getting too much into the controversy. But some of the names that will be a part of the special are Matthew Rosenberg, no surprise there, Joshua Williamson, Brandon Choi, who I assume quit his job at the grocery store to write comics again, J. Scott Campbell, Brett Booth, Ed Brisson, and others who are yet to be mentioned, with art from Jim Lee, again, no surprise there, J. Scott Campbell, Brian Hitch, Brett Booth, and more. If there's one more that I really hope they can get, and I know this is a long shot, but I'm hoping for it. If they could get Garth Ennis and Glenn Fabry to do another Kev story, I would lose my mind. That would be the greatest gift I could get just before Christmas, because Kev is one of, if not the funniest books that Wildstorm ever put out.
Hey, wait a second. Was it Grant Morrison? Who just did Superman and the Authority? Was it Grant Morrison?
That was Morrison.
Yes.
Yeah, that's who they could have do the Authority. I think. I think he did that pretty. I think he did that pretty well, man. I think he did that really well.
Yeah. Well, I have seen Grant do the Authority in another context, and it was not good. In fact, it was so not good he quit the book after 2 issues. But again, that's a whole other story.
Oh wow, what the hell?
Okay.
Yeah, he wrote The Authority in 2006 for 2 issues with Gene Ha. Everyone said this sucks, and for as much as I love Grant, it kind of did. And then he left, handed the reins over to Keith Giffen, and Keith did the best he could to try and wrap it up, and that had mixed results. But yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I guess we'll ultimately see who is all added here. But my hope is that they honor everyone who was a part of the Wildstorm legacy, sans Ed Brubaker, because I know he's never going to work there ever again. If you're thinking you're going to get a sleeper story in this Wildstorm special, dream on, because I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt he will never write Sleeper ever again, just based on everything that went down with that series. And in also pretty exciting news, but still very brief, because it is the 90s and it's a throwback, DC is doing a series of covers that are all related to the 90s, all very 90s inspired, each one with pouches and pads and horribly designed Liefeldian suits galore, and you can check all those out on DC Comics' website. I think my favorite is the one from Mario Facchillo, who did the Batman Superman World's Finest one,
Yes.
and it's just their capes blowing in their faces because they're so goddamn long, which is glorious. And I think Chris Burnham did a nice Youngblood tribute. That was cool too. But yeah, check those out.
Yeah,
they should
that
be
one's
cool.
really cool.
Yeah.
They didn't list it on the site that I was reading it on, but the Justice Society of America also has a 90s variant cover, and it is rooted in Amalgam Comics, which I thought was really cool. Yeah.
That's funny.
Oh, dude, sick. That's awesome.
I'll send a link to that later on.
Don't tease me. Don't tease me about the possibility of an amalgam comic.
Like, it's very much Justice Society characters, but you can picture like Hawkgirl's got Archangel wings, and Alan Scott's wearing Gambit's coat. Then Jay Garrick has a lot of
like
huge shoulder pads
Wolverine.
and pouches.
There you go.
Yeah.
That sounds about right.
There was a character though, and I couldn't find it when I was looking at the character list yesterday, from Amalgam, that had an ink on his eye, wasn't it?
Yes, and oh shit, what was his name? No, wait, hold on. That wasn't from Amalgam, I don't think.
Wasn't it?
No.
Well, there's a character called Fate, right? Wasn't that
Fate.
his name?
That's
Yep.
what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's not from Amalgam. That's
Oh, okay.
Doctor Strange Fate is from the Amalgam
Yeah.
imprint.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it's just Fate is on the cover, which is not Amalgam. Which I don't know. There's some interesting choices on that cover, but it looks really good.
Yeah. Well, it is very funny because I mean, all of them look very 90s, very extreme, and then there's David Knight, who literally just looks like he walked out of an issue of Starman unchanged.
Yeah.
His
And
costume is exactly the same.
We did just see Fate in Infinite Frontier. Almost,
Oh, yeah.
I'm almost positive of it. He like showed up in one of those
That
big
does sound
group
familiar.
panels. But anyway, I'm probably wrong.
No, I think you might be right. That sounds familiar, but I don't know. We'll figure it out later. Yeah. I think that was it.
Yeah, well, I have a couple of other smaller comics announcements, just some personal stuff. For anyone who is a fan of the very brief, but I think really underrated and quite stellar Underboss arc of Catwoman a little while ago from Genevieve Valentine and Gary Brown.
Yeah.
Genevieve Valentine did not quit comics. I thought she had. I thought she went back to writing novels and short stories and everything. And I read Underboss, and during the pandemic I was like, God, I wish she would do more. Like, he just had such a great voice for stories and comics. But for anyone who's a fan of that and liked Genevieve Valentine's style, she's teaming up with Annie Wu and Ming Doyle, who's actually an alumni from my old high school, to kick off a new book called Two Graves over at Image Comics. That'll be coming out in November. Not a lot given about the plot right now, but from the preview that we have, it definitely has, or at least it looks like it has a really interesting setting to it, even if we're not given a lot of information on the story. And then this one, I think, had been announced a little while ago. Charles Soule and Will Sliney had done like a Kickstarter or a GoFundMe or something like that, or one of those crowdfunding websites for a book called Hell to Pay, that they had said was going to be coming later, and then a year came out, and I think everyone was just like, we're lying. But that's officially coming out in November, and that is described as Hellboy meets Indiana Jones, which is probably one of the best damn pitches you could ever have. So check that out. It should be a lot of fun.
Definitely makes it
That sounds
interesting.
cool.
Right?
Yeah. And then, I guess one more thing, just for anyone listening who might be in New York. There's a signing of Grant Morrison is putting out a new novel called Luda on the 6th of September. For anyone who's in New York listening to the show, it's going to be in Union Square over in NYC, and I will be making the incredibly long trek down from upstate New York into the city to get my book signed, take a 30-second photo with Grant, and then never see him again. But it's worth it, just so I can bask in their presence for a little bit. But if you're in the city and you're looking for a cool thing to do around 7 o'clock and want to read a story about magic drag performers, then it should be a hell of a time. And that's all I got.
Right on.
Right
Let me know how good his accent is.
I will definitely do that.
Yes.
Yeah. I'll probably have, as I said, no more than a 30-second interaction, and then I'll, lose my mind for a little bit, and then I'll go back to my regularly scheduled life.
Right? Walk up, I'd be like, okay, picture, got it.
Yeah. And somehow he would understand.
Right?
He'll have the Scottish accent, but I'll be the one that's actually unintelligible because I'll just be babbling nonsense.
Exactly.
Just
babbling.
I don't know what to say.
I'm used to it. Come on.
Yeah.
How do you get away?
Before we get into honorable mentions and moving on with the rest of the show, John Ridley, our homeboy here that writes one of my favorite books at DC, The Next Batman, and also did 12 Years a Slave. He has just released a show called 5 Days at Memorial about some events that happened at some really fucked up events that happened at a hospital during Katrina, and I've been watching it, and I wanted to, dude, I mean, it's 10 out of 10. John Ridley is a hell of a storyteller, and if that sounds anything like what's up your alley, then you need to check it out. It's really good. It's on Apple TV Plus, and it's awesome.
Yeah, in the spirit of John Ridley and the 90s and Wildstorm, I'll throw in another recommendation called The Razor's Edge. I'm sorry, this is a total joke. The Razor's Edge was an attempt to focus on the minor characters of the Wildstorm universe in, I think, like the early 2000s, and he teamed up to tell a Ripclaw story with Simon Bisley. It's 5 issues. It's all told through secondhand narration, and I read it, and it is one of the goofiest things I've read in a long time, but it is very fun. So if you can track that down and read it in the spirit of Ridley and Wildstorm in the 90s, I think you'll have a good time.
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, the Razor's Edge Ripclaw. Oh, wait, no, sorry. It's the Razor's Edge Warblade, because Ripclaw is a character from Cyberforce who is definitely not the same thing.
Right, yeah.
All these image characters are the same. All these image characters are so interchangeable. Ripclaw, Warblade, Deathblow. My God.
All of their hair.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the 90s. Everybody was the same thing.
Yeah, so again, let me correct myself. That is the Razor's Edge Warblade, not Ripclaw. But if you want to read a Ripclaw series, check out Cyberforce, which is from Mark Silvestri, weirdly enough. We were just talking about him. It's not very good, but it's somewhat entertaining if you're looking for trash.
Yeah.
If you're looking for trash. You know.
Yeah, if you want to create a 90s character, you take a sharp object and a synonym for a fight and put it together. That's it.
They had one of those. They had, like, have you ever seen like those like name charts where it's like it's like what's your birthday, what's like your favorite color or something like that, and it is associated with the word. And someone did that for like 90s characters, and you would have like Backslasher or, you know, Overmight or some other nonsensical name. But I there's one of those. I'm sure you can track it down, but you can do that for a laugh and create your very own 90s character.
Oh, I am so doing that after we get off this podcast.
Oh man, I gotta find.
As soon as we get done recording.
All right. And also in the spirit of recommendations, it's not John Ridley, and I think we mentioned it before, but issue 3 came out this week. Friends, if you like wrestling and you're not reading this, this is an injustice. Go check out Do a Powerbomb. It is fantastic.
Dude, I keep forgetting to read it.
You really need to.
Yeah.
You're going to read Do a Powerbomb. You're going to be like, where has Daniel Warren Johnson been all my life? I love this man. And then I'm going to tell you.
I love Daniel Warren Johnson.
Yeah. You know, it's going to put it in a whole new light. And then I'm going to tell you to read Murder Falcon. And you're going to read that. And you're going to send me like $1 million in love and appreciation, because Murder Falcon is amazing.
Brandon.
Yeah.
The title, Murder Falcon, is amazing. You would have just had to tell me that.
That's the thing. Like, Do a Powerbomb is like a love letter to wrestling, and I don't like know a ton about wrestling, but you can just feel the appreciation for it. But Murder Falcon is just a love letter to heavy metal and really just rock and roll in general, and it is so amazing. It's so amazing.
Right on.
Which again, take a synonym for a fight and a sharp object, put it together.
Yeah.
Knife fight.
Yeah, there you go. You just created a 90s character.
Diamond Scrimmage. Excellent. I wanted to wait until after I got done here with this, but of course I had to try to pull it up on Google here, but I'm not having any luck. I was trying to find that 90s name generator.
Yeah, no, it's somewhere there.
It's out there somewhere.
And, yeah, I'm
Like
sure you
the
can find it. I
X-Files.
probably saw it on like r/comic books or something. But I don't have it saved. But yeah, no, it's out there, and like I said, if you want to make yourself a terrible name, you can do that. I'm trying to think of what's the worst one? Like the worst one I've ever heard. That's just like utterly moronic. Like Blood Wolf is low hanging fruit. Everyone makes fun of Blood Wolf because it's dumb and it's spelled WULF. But there's one that's worse than that. I think I don't know,
dude. You could go to yeah. I mean, not even picking on the small fries, but I mean, you could go to any place in Image or Zenoscope and find some of the dumbest shit that's ever been put on a page.
Yeah, man. Yeah, no, I mean, I want to say Ripclaw, but there's dumber than that.
Yeah, I feel like there's so many that I can't think of right now.
I can think of ones. It's just they don't feel like the dumbest. I'm trying to think of like what's the worst possible one, but it'll come to me later.
Do either of you have a 10-sided die handy?
I do not.
Not handy. No,
I left it with the rest of my D&D stuff back home. No, I'm kidding.
Okay, pick a number between 1 and 10.
Let's say 6.
6. Okay, then pick a second number between 1 and 10.
7.
Steel Tiger.
Perfect.
That's not that bad, actually.
Yeah.
That could be a modern day name, even. That's kind of tame.
Yeah, it sort of sounds like a 70s character.
Yeah, you know, Blood Flame.
You know how they say that you that's fine. Oh man. So that's how you get your crazy 90s name. Have you ever heard that calculator for generating your porn star name?
I think I've seen them before. I never remember what mine is.
You take the name of your very first pet and the name of the street you grew up on as a child, and that's the name. So like,
oh, mine's fantastic.
Mine is old red Kennefic. That does not sound like a very actively employed porn star.
Mine would be Josie Kensington.
Josie Kensington.
If that's not like top tier porn, I don't know what is.
All right. What about you, Brandon?
What were the rules again? Sorry, I had to kill a wasp that came into my room.
Ooh.
Oh no, the very first pet you ever had, and the childhood street you grew up on.
Oh, Stanley Barner. That does sound very dirty.
That's funny.
I found a Rob Liefeld name generator.
Oh no, did you?
Yeah, with the first letter of your first name or first letter of your last name. So I would be Blast Shade.
Okay. It was something like that, I'm sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Do mine.
Crow Run. That's
Crow
Run. Yeah. Oh,
No.
Brandon. Blood Razor.
Oh, that's excellent. I'm writing the pitch for that.
Is an image name.
As soon as we're out of here, I'm writing the pitch for that.
Blood Razor.
Blood Razor.
I can literally see the design for that in my mind.
Blast Shade.
Yeah.
Blood Razor and Demon Hawk.
Have you ever actually wait, no, I know Josh has, but Rob, have you ever seen the cover of The Pit?
Yes.
Oh God.
I'm imagining like the type that they use for the title of The Pit, and I would just use that as Blood Razor. That's a 90s book.
That
Oh,
would be
yeah, it is.
fantastic. Yeah.
It's like all in blood, very sketchy.
It says extreme.
Yeah.
3 different parts on the cover. Excellent. Excellent. All right. Are we all done being dumbasses now?
Yes.
I feel
yeah.
like
Oh,
I've been a
far
dumbass
from
for a
it.
while.
For the most part. For the most part.
For the most part. Okay.
Yeah.
In that case, I'm going to mention the 4 honorable mentions that I've got. This week, they were all super good. DC versus Vamp. Wicked. DC versus Vampires All Out War #2. Duo #4, Black Adam #3, and Batman the Night #8. All of them kicked ass. Spend your money on them. These ones need support. And that's all I've got on the honorable mentions. All 4 of those are really good books this week.
Good stuff.
Indeed.
And we will turn on our spotlight and spin that over to our first book for this week, Aquaman the Flash, Voidsong #3, which I'm going to hand over to Rob.
Gladly. And this is the last part in this Black Label. This was Black Label, right? Yeah, Black Label series. So this is written by Colin Kelly and Jackson Lansing, with art from Vasco Georgiev, with colors from Rain Burrito, letters from Troy Patiri, and a wonderful cover from Mike Perkins and Rain Burrito. So Arthur and Barry are working together to take on the Voidsong in space following the events of last issue, where they blasted off in an Atlantean spaceship powered by the Speed Force. With that, Barry is using what Speed Force energy he has left to power the Atlantean ship, but he is quickly running dry, and the ship then gets blown up by the aliens. Barry gets caught by the Voidsong, and Arthur kind of escapes, but feels like they kind of let him out into the middle of a ship, where he runs into what may or may not be a lead Voidsong, and kind of overpowers it using salt water in its body. I don't know. Do you call it tentacles? That's some. It's being itself.
They're an aquatic species that has salt water in their body, which means that they're a part of the sea. They're sea based, which means that he has control over their bodies.
I just don't know if we've actually seen like their physical form fully. I remember seeing a giant eyeball and tentacles, and that's it. So I don't even know if they are. I don't know. I thought they were like machines of some kind. Anyway, he frees Barry, where the two of them then combine Arthur's strength and Barry's speed force to then free everyone on Earth. Therefore, thereby destroying the Voidsong, very much like that. And they're now left floating in space, but are rescued by Superman as their oxygen depletes, and he returns them to the Justice League headquarters on Earth, not on the moon, where they rest and return to a family-filled life with a renewed friendship between them. I thought it was a very feel-good ending. I would love to see more of this pairing, and I say that in more ways than one. Aquaman and the Flash with this creative team, I'm all for it. This was actually a kind of fun story. The one thing I can kind of speak against it is really just a nitpick on my part. There was one beautiful splash page after they freed everyone on Earth, and it showed some splash pages of various heroes taking on the Voidsong and destroying the ships. And there was one that was a clear advertisement for upcoming movies, and it felt very cheap, because years down the road, if somebody reads this, why the hell are these people in the desert fighting together? That's really
just
weird.
Black Adam, Atom Smasher, what is it, Cyclone, and Hawkman, conveniently the only ones there.
Yeah, and Shazam.
And
was
Shazam
there as well. Yeah. But
because it's that other guy.
Really,
It's kind of
well, Rob, the rest of the JSA were busy, and these were the ones that they just happened to have on reserve.
Yeah, they just happened to be near Kahndaq that day.
Exactly.
Yeah. So apart from that, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a fun ride. Very feel good, as I mentioned at the end. Nice to see actual camaraderie and friendship between Arthur and Barry because it's not something you see very often. Lightning and
No,
water do
it's
not
not.
mix very well, but when they do, something powerful can happen. So, 8.75 out of 10. I was gonna make a
I
joke about like getting electrocuted, but I couldn't find it.
oh, damn. Well, it's out there somewhere. We'll find it again. Uh, this book made as weird as it sounds. Well, at least to me, uh, Barry and Arthur singing the song of the universe, so to speak. It kind of makes sense to me. The king of the ocean and the king of the speed force coming together. I mean, I feel like that's two major uh, scientific laws that are working together, smashing into each other. When they do come together, it is just the tiniest bit of cheesy, but I enjoyed it immensely. It was a fantastic, fun read. It wasn't perfect, but it was a really good read, both the book and the run as a whole. The art is just great, and the colors are right up there with it. I love the way that they did the suits, especially. This was just great for a 3-issue arc, and it was really cool to see these characters done this way, man. I gave this a 9 out of 10.
Yeah, this was a very nice episode of Brave and the Bold. And I definitely feel like some of the more I don't know if melodramatic is the right word, but like kind of like the drama they had in the last issue where Arthur and Barry are coming into conflict. It kind of felt like something they had to do, but it was just done in a very kind of lazy way. So seeing them actually patch it up here was expected, but I was kind of like that just felt unnecessary. Like we all knew it was going to happen. It's part of basic story structure, but yeah, it still kind of was like whatever. But other than that, like I said, a very very fun episode of Brave and the Bold that you would probably watch on Cartoon Network and have a good time. It sounds like I'm being facetious. I'm actually not.
No,
It's
it
very
sounds like
sweet,
we're
as
trying
Rob
to
said.
get spot money from Cartoon Network. That's the
I'm very
second
much trying
time
to
we
get spot
dropped y'all,
money.
guys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know, I know. Uh, well, everyone's mad at Cartoon Network because they dropped Infinity Train, but so maybe now's not the time. But that's a whole other topic. But yeah, other than that, pretty fun deal. So this one got an 8 out of 10 for me.
Right on.
Now I'm going to continue shining our spotlight, but I'm going to put a bat symbol over it because our next book is Batman One More Day. I didn't have a more clever transition than that, so you're just going to have to roll with it. This is Batman One More Day, written by Tom
One.
King with art,
It's
or
worse
One
than
Bad
One More
Day.
Day.
Sorry, yeah, One More Day. Although, I don't know, I guess I'll get into that later, but
One more bad day.
yeah, One More Bad Day. This is Batman One Bad Day, The Riddler, number one, written by Tom King with art and colors from Mitch Gerrits and letters from Clayton Cowles. Now, stop me if you've heard this one before. There was this guy in the 1980s. He wrote comic books, did a lot of superhero stuff that people liked. Some corporate stuff got in the way, and eventually he exited the larger superhero scene. But the stuff that people liked, that stuff could never die. It could never go away, and ever since the 80s, there's been a slew of imitators, cheap homages, and references to books that were well past their heyday. What does that have to do with any of this? Nothing. I just wanted to tell a funny anecdote. But I did want to ask the following question. Have you ever read The Killing Joke? Yeah, then you've read this book. The story is one part an origin of the Riddler, formerly Edward Tierney, who grew up in an abusive household. We see his burgeoning interest in riddles thanks to the help of a kindly teacher, Professor Yellen, I think his name is, who he later kills. This is intercut with the present-day story of Riddler having killed a man named John Oates, and Batman is on the case investigating the why of it all. After a bloody escape from Arkham, Batman and the Riddler have their final showdown at a basketball court in an embarrassing attempt to recreate the final confrontation between Joker and Batman in The Killing Joke. While this might read like a compelling story, and I guess in a way it is in all respects, it's very well constructed and certainly is a pretty easy read, for as much as a bloody read can be easy. It's such an obvious attempt to further mine the work of Alan Moore, rather than devise something original and move on for more. The 9-panel layouts, the Riddler backstory, the final speech at the end, which attempts to make some grand thesis about Batman and Riddler's relationship, come across as incredibly pathetic and cheap. Some might call it an homage. I prefer a lazy recreation with subtle changes in story and theme, but on a bad day, you might just call it trash. I gave it a 7 out of 10, and that was a very, very generous score, considering how badly I just berated it. My final thoughts: if you want to read a really good Riddler story, hell, I would say the best Riddler story, check out Batman Dark Knight Dark City. Probably one of the best Riddler stories ever done. Pete Milligan and Kieran Dwyer did it better than anyone else ever could. And that's all I gotta say.
Well then.
Well, okay then. Tell us how you really feel. I am kind of right there with you on most of that. It doesn't just feel like it's mining Alan Moore. It literally references the Joker knowing when Barbara was going to be home alone that night. Yeah. This is the Killing Joke sequel that nobody asked for. It's just the Riddler.
Didn't we already get that
story.
Last year?
Right?
It's
exactly.
called Three Jokers. But
yeah.
that's Killing Joke Part 2, Electric Boogaloo. Emphasis on Boogaloo.
Yeah. It's emphasis on the Boogaloo, indeed. This was pretty ridiculous. Like Brandon said, it's easy to read, but that's just because it's kind of... It almost feels like a paint-by-numbers deal here. Riddler not quite acting like Riddler. And then at the end, the plot twist where they're like, did Batman just kill him? What do you think? It's left
exactly
open.
Like The Killing Joke.
Yeah,
literally.
Again. And it's just like, while I love the art, like I always do from Mitch there, the story, it felt dry, uninspired, and as close to a Xerox of a fax machine copy that you could get of The Killing Joke. I gave this a 5.75 out of 10, and I'm really sorry I graded the art that low.
Well then, yeah. So I have read The Killing Joke, but it was like 15 years ago, so I don't remember enough about it to make comparisons. But I completely get it, because they did have some very clear shots that are, and obviously the references in it, the way the Riddler referenced it, you can tell right away where this is going. I didn't hate it, but it's very long. But you expect that from a Black Label book, especially from Tom King. It's also very dark. Very fucking dark. But so was The Killing Joke. I thought it was an interesting enough story.
You could say that.
Not the Riddler you're expecting. If you're expecting any kind of Riddler, you're not even getting like many riddles at all in this. It's not a lighthearted, fun Riddler like you get most days. This is a very Christopher Nolan-esque Riddler, if you will. And there was a lot of unnecessary word counts.
Matt Reeves.
There was too many pages with dialogue. I think there was a couple of pages with Riddler just telling a story about some woman, had nothing to do with the overall story, and the panels were just showing Batman and Jim Gordon meeting on a rooftop, and it had nothing to do with anything, and it was very unnecessary, and just padded out the page count, the word count, and I got so bored during that moment. So fuck, Tom King, please just chill it with the word count. You don't have to hit 70 pages. It's fine. End of it all, 7.5. I didn't hate it, but it wasn't perfect.
Yeah, you know what? You get in that situation, you go in there not aware of all of the copycat that's going on. You get the chance to enjoy it a little more. So cheers to you for that one.
Yeah.
This just
Also,
had me gritting my teeth the whole way through it.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just embarrassing. It's
right?
so
It's
it feels like
Jesus Christ.
what I had originally written down was, but I felt it was too mean. But I'm just gonna say it because why not? We're we're no strangers to speaking the truth here, right? What I had originally
Amen.
written down was it's like a child that's constantly screaming for attention because it really wants to prove that it's like it's something special now. But I thought that would be a little bit too mean spirited, but it feels like that.
Nope.
It's so pathetic.
Spot
It's
on.
like oh look, I'm trying to tell like the definitive, like this is gonna be the definitive Riddler story. Like you feel it. It's gonna be
Definitive
the
Riddler
Killing Joke.
story.
Yeah, it's gonna be the Killing Joke, but for Riddler, the Riddling joke, if you will. And
Right.
it comes across as embarrassing and weak.
Now we're getting one of these goddamn things for every one of his villains, aren't
I know.
we?
Which is
eight.
I don't
up
know how
until
I'm gonna
next
do
year.
8
that.
of them.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we got one. Are we getting one for Joker?
That I
Mm,
know. I actually think there's no.
you can read that one. It's called The Killing Joke.
Well, yeah, no, I know that one. So
Yeah.
that's what I was getting at. They're even not doing a Joker one.
Yeah,
So
correct.
wow,
There
it
is
is
Riddler.
every
Next
single
month we have Two-Face. Then there's Penguin, Mr. Freeze, Catwoman, Bane, Clayface, and Aunt March. We finished off with Ra's al Ghul from Tom Taylor and Ivan Reis.
man.
Different creative teams in every issue.
That's fine, but I don't know, man. I don't have faith for even with fucking Tom Taylor and Ivan Reyes on a book, man. I don't know. I don't have faith on any of this.
All the creative
Yeah,
teams are great. I hate the premise of it so much. Like I have
I'm
to be
very
honest.
confused.
I can't even lie to
though.
myself.
What's with the title "One Bad Day"?
Because it's a reference to The Killing Joke. In Joker says the line, I'll bet you had one bad day too. Obviously being a subtle but not so subtle reference to the fact that Bruce had one horrible day that changed his life forever, murdered his parents, even though Joker doesn't know that, all that stuff. But they're again, it's not even subtle. Like they know exactly what they're doing.
Right.
All the advertising is supposed to be related to Killing Joke and how that made you feel when you read it or when you read it, and how this is ideally supposed to make you feel. Except it didn't make me feel anything. Then I wasted
It's not
$8.
even a pseudo sequel to Killing Joke. It's a direct fucking sequel to Killing Joke.
Since
Yeah.
we are on the subject of The Killing Joke, I have actually been reading the novelization of that. Holy crap. It is so good. It's published by Titan Books, which is the, like the paperback, or the hardcover company that always does the DC stuff. But how fleshed out it is, and the way that these two writers flesh out, like just blow up the story of The Killing Joke is phenomenal. If you can get into a regular book and not just a comic book, it's a really good take on the story, and I really like it. This, however, is just a blatant ripoff.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure you'll be very excited to read the sad backstory of Bane and also Two-Face and also Penguin and also the rest of the Gotham villains who you've seen the backstories before, but have you seen them more dramatically? That's not a word.
I have. Do you know what? I've seen them every way, but definitively.
Yeah, we have a definitive
we
Mr.
finally
Freeze
get it.
story,
Yeah.
and it's Beta Sub-Zero.
Yeah.
All right.
Didn't they do-
was the
there's like a-
definitive
there's like
Mr.
a-
Freeze story.
That's like the first chapter of... I'm getting way off topic, but that's like the first chapter of they did the Prince of Nightfall, like the collected editions or whatever. and I hadn't read that until very recently. But that's like the first chapter. I think it's like Bane, Shadow of the something or whatever. And it's just the origin of Bane, like from his childhood. So we already know what it is. So what is this going to do differently?
Mm-hmm.
Who
Oh,
knows?
well, I bring up Mr. Freeze because the solicit for that came out today as well, and it is about Mr. Freeze again trying to save his beloved Nora, but Robin, and meanwhile this is Dick Grayson Robin, so this is in the past, tries to take a different approach with Mr. Freeze. Meanwhile, it is also so cold in Gotham right now that Freeze is able to just go outside without his suit and just be in like a t-shirt and he's fine.
Mm.
But Robin is trying to like talk him into some kind of friendship in a way and try to help him, but Batman's trying to warn him against it, and it just feels like it's been
Total
done 50
bullshit.
times.
In order for Freeze to be alive, he has to be in sub-zero temperatures, no matter what. He would not be able to have his hood off, his suit off, and walk around in Gotham City unless everything alive there was dead except for him.
Yeah, like if it's
Sub-zero.
that cold outside, there's no way Batman and Robin are outside.
Yeah, it's
Surviving.
just not happening. And I hope to God Dick's got pants on.
I doubt it.
But I don't want to see. I don't want to see a Mr. Freeze story unless it's about what's going on with Nora.
Yeah,
She's not asleep anymore. They let her out, and then that was it. They're like, run, Nora, run! Don't ever come back. Not even to comics. Just never saw her again.
yeah.
Crazy.
I don't know. Maybe one day we'll actually get some progression on those characters.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Speaking of crazy characters that we could use some progression on.
Yeah, I guess
yeah.
we'll go into the last one for this week. Harley Quinn number 20.
Right
Or
on, yeah, and
not.
definitely, I will mention progression on this character because I've seen a lot of chatter recently of people not liking her progression, despite the fact that that's what pushes characters forward is story progression and character development, which is exactly what this character has gone through for the past 2 decades. So this is Harley Quinn number 20, part 3 of Task Force XX. It's written by Stephanie Phillips with art from Georges Duarte and Simone Buonfantino. Sorry. Colors from Romulo Fajardo Jr., letters from And World Design, and a cover from John Boy Mayers. So we open with Luke telling us about a dream he had about Element X giving him everything he wanted, which is the ultimate scientific breakthrough, but it did lead to the end of everything. And now back on the moon base, we see Task Force XX are reeling from this new info as he was telling them the dream over the communication system, and they are instead found by the monster. They put up a fight against it, but it takes Grundy and fuses him with Lashina in a really weird design. It's really, really gross. It tries to take Frost, but she showcases her latest ability to absorb life force, which when did that happen? Was that in Justice League of America? Like
I
Rebirth?
don't know. I was kind of like, okay, I guess we're doing this now.
Yeah.
I didn't remember it.
It
But
seems like so familiar, but she's very, very rarely used in books these days. I don't know. So Luke then tracks the monster's movement to the Justice League teleporters, and it arrives on Earth while Luke tries to escape his base, but is stopped by the military, who discovered that this spaceship is from this origin point at his base. And then the monster arrives and captures the soldiers and absorbs them into himself. And we will have, I think, 2 more parts to see how this wraps up. So I'll be honest, I did not connect, and I didn't mention this in the synopsis, I really should have, that Element X is the one from DC Metal.
yes,
Which
yes,
kind of makes
yes,
sense,
it
because
is.
that was called Element X, I think is the 10th metal. Yeah. Yeah, so that kind of blew my mind, but
Hmm.
also kind of confusing. That was from the Dark Universe, wasn't it? Element
It
X?
allows one to control access to the dark universe. Brandon, am I fucking that up, or is that right?
Um, from what I remember, it was part of the. Um, do you remember the forge, the forger?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So from what I remember, it was the metal that was used to forge worlds and forge all things, both in the regular multiverse and the dark multiverse. They kind of said like worlds that were successful would rise up to the multiverse, worlds that were crap would fall into the dark multiverse, and because they knew they were damned, that's why they ended up rising up. But yeah, some kind of thing like that where it had originally come from the Forge, and then it's like, and this is where I sort of start to get blurry on it because it's a Scott Snyder thing, but I think it's like powered by belief or some kind of cliched thing like that. It's
Yeah.
been a while since I've read Metal Number Six, but they said
Powered
something
by
like that
belief and
where
truth.
yeah, it's powered by belief and spirit,
Truth.
and if you believe in yourself, it'll work, like an episode of Captain Planet. Um, but yeah, no, I think it's. I mean, aside from the Forger
All right.
stuff, I don't remember seeing it anywhere else.
Okay. So it came. So it's specifically from the World Forge.
Yeah.
Um.
Which begs the question: why are they saying it's apocalyptic in nature then?
Well, maybe that's
Who
the
knows?
mystery.
And
Yeah.
and is Luke Fox the father of it?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. The very last panel, it said "Hello, Father" or something along those lines. I
Yeah.
might be paraphrasing.
And I'm
Yeah,
like,
so
what
I
the
mean
hell?
that thing that ended everything in Luke's dream looked an awful lot like this monster. So who knows? There's a
Luke did
lot
it.
of questions left open,
Damn it,
and
Luke.
it'll be surrounded by Harley just being adorable about everything, and I think quite funny. So we'll see how it
Why did
goes.
good guy Luke's always fuck shit up?
Yeah.
Would you give this one, Rob?
8.25 out of 10. Not a lot happened in this issue, but it was a fun ride still. I think we're in the halfway point, so we'll see where it goes.
Yep. Obviously, to me this feels like a Suicide Squad story. Obviously, it's got the stuff you would expect from it. It's done pretty well, and the humor is on point. Plus, I'm really curious about that ending. The whole Luke Fox being the father of apocalyptic technology, or what? Huh? I need to know more. So
Yeah.
you got me. I'll be there next issue. 8 out of 10.
Right.
7 for me. Kind of interesting, but I mean, not. I'm not like totally in love with it or anything. So it's solid enough that I'm interested, but not breaking down any doors.
I'll give you that. I'll
Fair enough.
definitely give you that. Cool to have you back on the Harley train. Let's hope we don't have to kick it off the review show again.
Yeah, I
Hopefully.
guess so.
Yeah.
I had some time, so I kind of skimmed through 19 and actually read 20. And I feel like I'm mostly up to speed. So
Yeah, it doesn't take much.
yeah.
Now, back to our program.
All right, we're gonna kick it off with our main reviews for this week, starting with Catwoman number 46. So coming to us live from Canada. I'm gonna pass it over to Rob, who's going to give us a unscripted summary of Catwoman. So now you're on the spot, so you have to deliver.
All right, you hosers. Yeah, we're going to be doing this spot live here, eh? Okay. So, All right there, bud. All right, boys. Let's go. So, it's Catwoman
I would
number
not
40.
blame
Okay, I
you
can't do
if you.
that for the whole thing. I'm
I would
sorry.
not blame you if you kept that going for the entire show.
Do not do that.
I forgot
Oh
you.
my
You once
goodness.
asked me to. You bet me to do an entire show with that
Oh
accent.
man,
One day,
is
if I'm
that
drinking
I
enough, I
actually
might.
did have a question
You
about
know what?
that.
I remember that. I remember
Yeah,
Yeah,
that.
I forgot. Okay, one day I
is that
promise I will definitely do. If we have maybe a shorter week, I'll definitely do an episode.
uh,
Okay, so This is Catwoman number 46 in my North American accent. So this is from writer Teeny Howard with pencils from Sammy Basri, inks from Vicente Cifuentes. Love that name. Colors from Jordi Belair, letters from Lucas Gattoni, despite the fact that you could not actually read that name in the font, and covers from a cover from Jeff DeCal. So Catwoman, she is, as I mentioned, doing this on the fly. She has come across what the hell's his name? Amygdala. Um, he's attacking her straight up and is looking for Valmont, screaming for his help. And he arrives to first take on the two mob bosses that are surrounding her and Amygdala. He scares them off while she jumps into a little, I think it's a truck, very maybe a trailer, to try and coax him into a trap. But Valmont ends up saving her, or helping her anyway, after she knocks Amygdala out. So they talk about what to do next, and then we cut to the Black Mask's office, subterranean office, where Amygdala is there, fresh with his new brain damage, courtesy of Selena's heal. Also having a meeting with those same two mob bosses that Valmont kind of scared off, and saying, look, we're starting a new club. We don't need any ladies here because we can actually get shit done. We're manly men.
We're manly men. In tights. Tights.
Yeah. Wasn't that a Monty Python sketch?
That Men in Tights.
Oh, yes, that's right.
It was an old movie. We are men.
No, Monty Python was Lumberjack. That's what I'm thinking of. Oh, man. Anyway, yeah, that's another story. So, they are basically colluding against other members of the aforementioned, I guess you'd call it, clan of clans. I don't know if they had a
that
group
sounds
name.
like a mobile game.
Clash of Clans. I was gonna say, is it a Clash of Clans?
Yeah. So we then cut to Eiko Hasegawa's yacht, where her and Selena are having a little powwow, talking about a plan going forward, about how Selena and her, while they are on good speaking terms, despite their history, they do talk briefly about that history and Eiko's feelings going forward. But Selena then turns around and asks her to betray her for a grand master plan she has to get control of the underworld. But first, before that can happen, she does need to take some time away from the city in order to just get away for a while. Before she can do that, she needs to do a bit of shopping for the little what's the guy's name? Tommaso. Yeah, the little Tommaso. He's not so little, but he's Tommaso. He's the young Tommaso.
Oh, the last.
Yeah. Get some groceries for him with Valmont while she is there undercover, and Valmont not so undercover, but nobody can really see his face in his night costume, if you will. So I guess they're technically both undercover. She asks him to help her get out of the city because he has some global contacts, despite the fact that there is some clear flirting going on between them still, which I'm not too happy about, but here we are. So then we cut to later that night at Capullo's Ristorante, where the mob clans are having a meeting with Eiko, including Black Mask. I guess Black Mask's mob clan is meeting with Eiko Hasegawa, and very quickly turns to betray her and demand to have some loyalty proven to them. So she calls up Selena's phone and tells her to meet at her yacht that night, and says no more. So Selena goes straight to the yacht while all the mob bosses are standing on the docks, away from the yacht, watching from afar. And Eiko is on the phone with Selena and basically begins their betrayal plan. The yacht is full of explosives, and while Eiko is essentially stalling for time for Selena to get to safety, one of the other mob bosses grabs the phone and says, "No, you're taking too long. I'm going to do it faster." Selena jumps off the boat as fast as she can. The ship blows. She gets underwater, and they all go their separate ways. despite the fact that Selena and Aiko are very upset about the entire ordeal. So Selena and Aiko, or not Selena and Selena and Valmont, zoom off out of the city, while Aiko, as per their plan going forward, will don the Catwoman costume temporarily while Selena is out, finding herself in a way.
Once again.
Once again, yeah.
Dun, dun,
So yeah,
dun.
it's definitely taken some turns, but it feels like they're kind of flip flopping. I was very, it felt like it was very vague why she's leaving the city again. They're kind of just doing it to push the story along, but it's not really pushing the story along because they just did that. And she even had Eiko say, "But you just left the city. You're leaving again already." It didn't really make sense to me still why this is happening, but it looked beautiful. I'm loving the art. I think the colors, the pencils, all of it is really good, and I'm curious to see what the hell's happening because it's a little confusing. If next issue is actually going to have Eiko in the Catwoman costume for a spell, maybe a story arc, that might be interesting to see. I'm just very confused, but still, I'm enjoying it. 8.5 out of 10. It's still, I don't know.
You're confused about what's happening in the book, or
Yeah, like why is she leaving again? I'm just confused about that. It feels like they're just going in circles now. Like I'm really enjoying the story still. I think it's a great direction, and the story so far has been very interesting. I just don't understand this part.
why she's taking off again? Yeah, that's the one
Yeah,
thing where I'm like, dude, we better get more than another road trip issue or
yeah,
arc. It better, if they're taking off together, fine. I don't mind a story arc with them, do whatever, but don't make it a dumb one. They are two. Catwoman is an exceptional character, and Valmont could be a good one. Let's see where it goes, but let's not just have a road trip, please. Other than that, I thought the thing was pretty interesting. Eco has worn the cat suit before, though it wasn't really on Selena's side that time. On the last page, we see that cat outfit silhouette with the tail, I guess, just to sell it that it's Catwoman. Um, that's on the same panel when you see her driving away with Valmont. So you guys think we'll have a temp Catwoman going on in the book rather than following Selena and Valmont?
Well, the next panel says thieves who steal together stay together, which definitely sounds like the story that uh,
Of
Selena and
Selena and
Valmont
Valmont.
Mm-hmm.
were talking about. They're going to go on this big heist, and Selena just needs to like revisit her roots a little bit as a criminal and just steal something very, very valuable.
All right, good.
Yeah.
Good. I don't want to not pay attention to the Selena thing, but I think we will be getting Eco in the Catwoman suit.
Yeah.
And I'm cool with that, just to see what's going to happen.
Yeah, they might have like a side by side thing. They'll have both stories simultaneously.
I'd be okay with that.
Yeah.
But split it down the middle. Don't go back and forth, please.
Exactly.
Anyway, other than what I all just said, other than everything I just said, this was a seriously great art team. They work so very well together that I hope that they stay together forever. This was a pretty good issue. I had a good time reading it. Trepidatious about where it's going, but I can't hold it against it until I have something to bitch about. So 8 out of 10.
Yeah, I don't know that I have anything really to add that hasn't already been said. I am still kind of confused as to why Selena is leaving Gotham again. I'm with you, Rob. It just feels like a very weird decision, and I'm hoping whatever comes next is worth moving her out of Gotham again, because if it's another road trip, it just will feel like ultimately pointless.
That's what I
Aiko suiting up
expected.
as Catwoman again is cool. It's funny that we were just talking about Genevieve Valentine earlier, because that was a part of her run where Selena was
Hmm.
operating as a mob boss and Aiko was filling in as Catwoman unbeknownst to her father. And I thought that was always an interesting idea. Well, I shouldn't say always. It's not like I always had that, but I thought that was an interesting idea. But ultimately, I think they were so eager to get Selena back into the suit by the end of that first arc, that they never really got to live up to the full potential, and then um, that run kind of came to a screeching halt once they kind of pushed Genevieve Valentine off the book. But um, I'm hoping that they can use that plot thread and maybe try something more interesting. So if we are going to have Aiko as Catwoman once again, we can maybe try and do something more with that. So hopefully there's something there. But yeah, I mean, I think there's things to look forward to, things that are confusing, and hopefully the things that we're looking forward to are, more important or outweigh the stuff that's confusing, and the things that are confusing slowly become more understandable as we continue with the story. And the art from Sami Basri is really good. Definitely think
As
he
usual.
is just doing a
Mhm.
great job on this book. So I gave this a 7.5 out of 10.
Right on.
Right on.
All right, well, next up we have Dark Crisis Young Justice number 3. This is from Megan Fitzmartin doing the writing with art from Laura Braga, colors from Luis Guerrero, and colors from Pat Brosseau. Connor, Bart, and Tim fight Lex Luthor, Deathstroke, and Captain Boomerang, respectively, at Mount Justice. Bart is one of the first people to notice that these villains, who never associate elsewhere, have been selected because of their connection to each other with past or their connection to each other's specific past traumas. Bart suspects this has something to do with the rest of the freaky world that they're in, particularly with this version of Cassie, but Connor and Tim have their doubts. After Connor insults Bart and the two have a fight, Bart storms off, hoping to find answers on his own. Tim also goes his own way, angry with Connor for how he treated Bart. While each of the boys are off contemplating everything, Cassie again tries to offer each of them a life here, one where they will be the inheritors of their respective legacies. Each one declines Cassie's offer, which forces Cassie to transport them back to the Watchtower. She informs them that they will take her offer without refusing, only this time they're going to use force. I don't know.
Yeah, boy.
I,
Not
I
good.
uh, what I don't know. There's nothing else to
You
say. Like
know it.
I'm tired. I'm tired of this book. I tire of it greatly, because it's like
Tell
a
us why you're tired of
marathon.
it, Brandon.
Uh, I think I've said that for the past 2 months. But it's like a marathon trying to keep up with the litany of weird continuity mistakes, character inconsistencies, and other things that just make it just a mess. If you're a fan of any of these characters, whether you
And
read or didn't read Young Justice, or you read the '03 Titan series, or any
just
other,
flat out
uh,
weird choices.
yeah, I mean, and I'm not gonna harp on it too much, because like I'm tired of this book, and I'm tired of ranting about it, and things that are just not going to change. But like at this point, it's too much to handle. Whether I mean this issue specifically, whether it's the just frankly bizarre voice that Fitzmartin seems to have for Connor, who at this point is acting like he just stepped out of 1995 and had nothing, which I will give her credit at least. I think they tried to address it a little bit, and say that Connor had maybe lost some of his memories, so maybe he doesn't have everything that he used to have prior to the Flashpoint. So I can excuse that a little bit, but with Tim and with Bart in particular, who I think said something like, "All I've ever wanted is for people to notice me." When, if you know anything about Impulse, it's that his whole name comes from the fact that he didn't give a fuck what anyone thought. That's why he was Impulse. It's because he was so brash and literally could just run through the world without a care. Just, I don't know. it just it like I said, it's tiring to try and keep up with it all. So I have nothing left to say. I'm not even going to bring up the continuity stuff. If you know where it is, you know where it is. And maybe it's just me. So ultimately, who cares? But it's just kind of exhausting to read. So this one got a 6.5 out of 10 for me.
All right, a little less dispassionate, but pretty much just parroting Brandon, man. Giant flop for me. The art is good. The rest is convoluted. It reads weird. Voices are off. Continuity is funky, and it's really just not interesting. I have not been a fan of Fitzmartin for a while now, and I seem to see their name on a whole bunch of stuff, and I'm starting to think maybe that's a bad idea. Other than that, there's not a lot to say about it. Some people would say that these are small issues. I don't think so. These are some of the biggest issues that you can have for me. And when they're stacked on top of one another, that makes it total crap. This gets a 5 out of 10.
Okay. Well, I'm still enjoying it, but I'm starting to see how some of the past continuity is being forgotten, having not really partaken in a lot of the past continuity, such as Tim. That part really stuck out at me. How he wouldn't necessarily see. I get Bart was seeing things from a Speed Force perspective, but after Bart is starting to, lay down some hard facts. Tim, he's a brilliant detective, in some ways, better detective than Bruce even. He should really start to be seeing some pieces himself. So I don't know, that really rubbed me the wrong way. But I'm still trying to convince myself that all of it is off because it's a fake world and they're being partially mind controlled. But we'll see. I feel like that's a weak sauce argument, though. I don't know. End of the day, I'm happy we have some Young Justice. I hope we get something more and better in the long run. We'll see. It's been a long time since we've had Young Justice proper. I don't know. This is one of
just
those
took
moments
away
where,
the
like,
damn cartoon. Don't leave us hanging.
yeah,
And
it's one of those awkward
maybe have
moments where,
somebody
like,
else write it.
if if you support it with your wallet, you're showing interest that you want to see more of these characters in this setting, but then you're also saying we want more of these characters like this, which isn't necessarily the case. So what do you do? You know, I don't know. I'll give it a 7.
It's a
As I
tricky
said,
situation.
I'm still enjoying it, but it is starting
Do
to
you
feel a little
suffer through
off.
the shitty stories until a different writer picks it up?
But that's if
Do
a
you
different writer
hope
picks it up.
that it lasts long enough for that to happen?
Yeah, I think that's the main point. It's like,
Yeah,
will it last long enough for there to be a creative change, or are you just kind of
exactly.
stuck with it?
Yeah, boo. I
Yeah.
hate that. I hate that
I mean,
scenario. That's a horrible
I don't know
scenario.
about you guys, but I stuck through all of Williamson's Flash run with that in my mind. Eventually, it's going to get better, and eventually, it did.
Uh, I don't know. What do you think? Do you think I read all of Williamson's Flash run?
I,
Do you think I read every single issue?
it's hard to tell. You weren't doing the podcast at that point, so
I,
I
I,
want to say
I, I,
no.
I love the Flash. I was reading every single issue because he kept tricking me, and this is why
Yeah,
I am so upset with him now, because he did. He tricked me over and over and over for years, and it. Anyway, I'm not going down that road. Williamson
yeah,
broke my heart. He broke my Flash heart, and I can't forgive him.
yeah. I get that.
Well, maybe you should read Batman Superman. That was pretty fun.
Batman Superman, it was, to say the least, fine. Indeed, maybe some would even say the world's finest. Batman Superman World's Finest number 6, written by Mark Waid, drawn by Travis Moore, colored by Tamara Bonvillain. Aditya Bidikar brought letters in a cover wrapped up with by Dan Mora. This month, the book starts out back in time, answering a question for the future. We see Dick lost in time a long time ago, just before 1892, in fact, chiseling something into a giant rock before collecting some fruit and walking away. He joined up with a world-famous circus somewhere, the first one to use animals, as a trapeze artist. He's the trapeze artist, not the animals. Just for clarification's sake. So we see him swinging down and knocking a rifle away from shooting a lion. The lion's been accused of murder, and they're going to put it down because it has blood on its claws. They already did that once to a bear. People were mauled, so, they just went with the obvious. Dick stops it before we next see Supergirl explaining to everyone that Dick is lost in time. Batman knows Dick is smart enough to have left a clue. So they check, and they were right. But his clue only says, "Hey guys, come find me, Robin." That's the clue. So Batman and Superman just so happen to, off-panel, time travel to exactly the time and place that Dick went to. The rest of it is just a filler issue of Dick, Bruce, and Clark working together to save some circus animals and solve a murder case. This felt like the pop... It felt like the kind of almost feel good story that we got in the Silver Age of the world's finest, the helping animals at a circus while solving a murder case is cheesy and nostalgic in all the right ways. The art, as always, looked good here, but it's not what it has been. And I have to say, I wasn't impressed with the ridiculous clue that was left, or the off-panel, no explanation, time travel, how they knew where to find him at, and having it all resolved with Robin asking Batman how his ride was. This could have been good. Ultimately, it felt fun but lazy. And from a team from a writer like Mark Waid, that is not what I wouldn't expect that whatsoever. So I'm going to be a little rougher on this. I'm really disappointed because I've loved every issue of this series from the get-go. But I gave this a 6.5 out of 10.
I don't know. For some of the reasons that you identified, it's kind of why I actually loved this issue.
Now the
there's
Silver Age
something.
parallels, I love that. The rest of it, I did.
Well, I think for me it was just. I think it was such a great Dick Grayson focused issue, but aside from that, it was just like it was just so much fun. Every aspect of it was just really fun that I couldn't help but smiling. And even though the time travel stuff is sort of unexplained and how they actually find them, I mean, they didn't really explain how Supergirl and Robin could travel in time aside from like some brief mention that they were able to. They had like a device or they could fly through the time barrier or something like that. So
Well,
you
see,
can sort of
that's what
just
I'm saying.
assume.
That's all it takes.
Yeah, but it's like for me at least, I was like they can figure out a way. Like they're the world's finest, and I I I don't know. I kind of
Of
I had that in
course
my
they
mind
went back
like
in time. Maybe
yeah,
I'm being too
Batman just
picky.
the Batman just showing up like I was like, oh, of course. Like they figured out a way. There's something about that was just so lovably campy that I couldn't help but laughing and smiling at that. And
Robin walking
tapping
away
in.
with the bag tied to a stick over his shoulder. Now that made me laugh.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know people didn't love it, but one of my favorite aspects of the New 52 run on Nightwing was that it really touched on Dick's circus roots. And I always love when they kind of take the chance to do that because it feels like everyone kind of forgets that he had a life before he met Bruce, and he was, a wonderful circus performer who had a great time while he was in Haley's Circus. And so every time they kind of touch on that, there's a great Young Justice episode where they do that. But every time they kind of touch on that aspect of his life, it's always a nice reward because he's more than just Batman's ward or Bruce's son. He was a performer, an acrobat by nature. So it's nice to see them dip into that every now and then. So all of that just made it a really fun, really delightful issue. And seeing Batman fight off a tiger, I mean, it's just great stuff there. So yeah, this one got an 8.5 out of 10 for me. Really had fun with it.
Right on.
Yeah. I'm kind of like right smack dab in the middle. Like, I thought it was a really nice story with some great art, as has been the case with the series so far. And it was really cool to have a young Dick Grayson centric tale. Thought that was really nice to see. As World's Finest, and maybe Batman, Superman, World's Finest, but the World's Finest has always been the trio, realistically. So it was nice to see that Dick has a place at the table. But I was kind of very like I tried to justify it in my mind, like Dick just leaving that one bit on the slab. Like, yeah, at some point Bruce would have just figured it out because detective skills and whatnot, but it would take a long time, you'd imagine, to not only figure out the year, but then figure out from where he was, where would he go. It's a lot. And how did Dick get there? Like, I get Dick would not know the year he was in, but you could have at least left a note on the stone saying, "I'm headed west." At least something. It just it was a little.
Hey guys, come find me.
Yeah,
Well,
like a
the
little
fuck
bit
you
off.
think
But
we were gonna do? Why did we check this rock, Robin? Jesus Christ!
Yeah.
And then
I don't
that
know.
is where the meme came from.
Batman slapping Robin. Yeah. Like, despite that fact, though, I love the rest of the issue. I thought it was quite nice. The quality is definitely not declining so far with the first story arc done, and I'm very, very excited to see where we go from here. So 8.75 out of 10 from me.
Nice. Well, speaking of Dick Grayson, that's a good way to talk about our next book, which is Nightwing number 95, featuring an adult Dick Grayson, not a teen Dick Grayson. But this is brought to us by Tom Taylor, as usual, with art from Bruno Redondo, some inks additionally from Caio Felipe, colors from Adriano Lucas, and letters from Wes Abbott. Dick saves Melinda from Blockbuster's capture, only to find himself facing off against Blockbuster yet again. They brace themselves for a fight, ready to throw down until Blockbuster gets hit with Audrey's car. But back at the BPD station, ex-Commissioner McLean reveals that he has access to a set of files that could expose Blockbuster's entire operation. Hoping to use this as leverage for immunity, he makes his case to the detectives interrogating him, not realizing that they are actually working for Blockbuster. Naturally, once they know that McLean is willing to sell out Blockbuster, they kill him, because what else could you do? Commissioner Sawyer finds him dead and is livid, feeling that she has no control over the city's police and no one she can trust in the department. Belinda Zuko then contacts Maggie, asking her to talk. She informs her that she has a plan to take down Blockbuster and Maroni's numerous operations, but they need to move tonight and that they have to trust her. Maggie is hesitant, especially since she has no cops on the force that she can trust, but Nightwing and Batwoman show up, then telling her that she's not alone and she has the full support of Nightwing's superhero network. Said network makes quick work of Blockbuster and Maroni's operations, and Blockbuster decides enough is enough. He heads over to the Haven with a bazooka in hand, blowing up everything in sight. After Oracle informs Nightwing of this, he rushes over to the Haven to stop Blockbuster, but Blockbuster has 2 kids hostage and demands Nightwing drop his Eskrima sticks. Nightwing agrees and gets the stuffing beat out of him. Unfortunately, Nightwing also had his mask beat off of him too, revealing his identity as Dick Grayson to Blockbuster. Done, done, done. Pretty solid issue. Definitely one hell of a cliffhanger. And it's been a while since I've read the tail end of Devin Grayson's run on Nightwing, but I believe that was the last time that Blockbuster knew that Dick Grayson was Nightwing before he was killed. Before Blockbuster was killed, not Nightwing. So the last time that, and again, I gotta, I mean, I don't really want to go back and read that because it's not very good, but if I'm remembering correctly, using that information, he basically did exactly what Kingpin did in Daredevil Born Again and just used it to ruin every aspect of Grayson's life. And I can only imagine what Blockbuster will do now that he knows Dick Grayson's identity once again. So that should be interesting, seeing how that all plays out.
Throwing a theory up here.
Yeah.
Blockbuster threatens to do something, but Heartless steps in and kills Blockbuster.
Potentially, yeah. That could certainly be something. And then we all have to wonder when Blockbuster will be resurrected again because he cannot die no matter how many times they try and kill him. But yeah, that could certainly lead to something. But yeah, I don't know how all that is going to play out, but I'm hoping that it's not too immediate. Like if they're going to do something now that Blockbuster knows Grayson's identity, I hope it's something that's good, but not, I don't know, not needlessly like dark and pointless. Because honestly, that was the flaw of Grayson's time on Nightwing. It got too much into the misery porn aspect of ruining Dick Grayson's life. So if you're gonna do something, I would say be a little bit smarter with it. Don't just like blow up his building. Oh wait, I guess they already did that. Or you know, I guess they did that twice now actually. Or you know, just get him kicked off the force or all that stuff. Like let's try and do something creative now that Blockbuster knows his identity again.
Something creative without hurting the dog.
Yeah, without hurting the dog and without turning it into like too much misery and angst. And there is a moment that I'm sure people are going to flag.
Oh, man,
one that I certainly saw. What?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was thinking, what if B showed up and started going psycho stalker on
Who?
her? B. Do you remember B?
B? Who's B?
Yeah, I would have done my best to block her out of my memory.
Oh shit.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Because I mean, if you remember, they were all like, "Okay, all this shit is done," sitting there chilling out in the fucking basketball court with some street lights on them, and they're all like, "Bye, Felicia." It's like, oh damn.
Yeah, no, I have no desire to see B again or anyone from that era of Nightwing that we shall not speak of. But yeah, I hope, like I said, I hope they do something interesting with it. Like I said, one moment that I flagged that I just wanted to mention briefly because I'm sure people are going to be talking about it. Batwoman and Maggie Sawyer have some beef. I think is the only way you can describe it. And Dick's like, "What's going on? Like, I thought you guys were really close." And she basically talks about how she had plans to marry her, and I'm just give me a moment because I'm gonna pull up the exact quote. And it felt like the most fourth wall breaking thing you've ever seen. Yeah, so she says, he's like, "What's with you two? I thought you and Sawyer were close. We were. I was supposed to marry her. Why didn't you? A mixture of stubbornness, stupidity, and fear." And then I had to admit, I was shocked that Kate didn't turn towards the reader and raise a middle finger and say, "Fuck you, DC." because for anyone who remembers the story as to why they didn't get married back in 2014, it was because of, well, let's just say a mix of anti-marriage sentiment and some very, very buried homophobia. But that it just kind of threw me off for a minute because like if you're aware
Not
of
so
that
buried.
story, yeah, it's probably not buried at all really, and not so buried. So much so that it caused J.H. Williams and W. Hayden Blackman to literally leave the book and swear off DC for a while. But yeah, it felt, I don't know, it threw me off at first. I was like, wait a minute, are you, because when they first like introduce Maggie and Batwoman when they're on the roof and they kind of have some tension, I'm like, you wouldn't possibly, because I know Tom Taylor likes his fan servicey moments, and I know he also likes the tongue-in-cheek references to publishing history, and I already had the joke about fridging, so I was like, you wouldn't do something like that, but he did, and I shouldn't have been surprised. Not a bad thing. It was almost like jarring. It's like when you see someone make a not so subtle reference like that, it almost throws you out of the book for a minute. But aside from that, solid installment in the Battle for Bloodhaven story arc. Interested to see where things go. Hope they don't drop the ball.
Sure.
And whatever Dan Turpin used to grow his hair back, I hope that they can invent that in the real world and sell it to all men who want to grow their hair back, because I'm sure that
Please.
would make quite a bit of money.
Yes, please.
Please.
I wholeheartedly endorse that.
Please.
Dan
I haven't
Turpin,
had
who,
my hair
to
cut
my
in a
knowledge,
while, and
yeah,
I'm nervous.
yeah, Dan Turpin, to my knowledge, had been balding as a Final Crisis, is with a full head of hair, looking exactly like the version from Superman the Animated Series, who was apparently inspired by Jack Kirby. But whatever he used to grow his hair back, I hope that that's something that exists, because I'm sure it would make millions, if not billions, of dollars for all the people trying to grow their hair back. But anyway, fun installment. Looking forward
And it's
to seeing what's coming
$40,000
next.
in hair plugs.
Yeah, exactly. 8.75 for me.
Yeah.
I think
right
that
there
it
with
is
you.
hilarious that this is Nightwing number 95, because that's what I gave it, a 9.5.
Oh, yeah.
This was an action-packed kick-ass comic book. I loved it. I loved the art. I loved the new inks in it. This was fantastic. And then that ending where, to use Brandon's words, Blockbuster beating Dick's mask off. It was. That's just awesome, because now what the hell happens? All of this is going on. All these larger stories are going on while we've got Heartless just hanging out in the background. And the last time we saw him, we found out even more about his ass. And there's all this technology that he's got. He's got USB ports all jacked into him and shit. So, I mean, Blockbuster to me is just a distraction. I'm waiting to get past this so we can get to the real shit. But awesome story, awesome art, as always. Total 9.5 out of 10.
Yeah, I'm up there too. I'm not quite. I might just give it a 9. I was at 8.75, and I'll explain my reasoning. But I think a 9 is a little warranted, because it is a very, very good story. I don't know. The final page felt a little off to me. I thought that's a strong reveal. That's an interesting twist, but if and I get Blockbuster strong and all that, and he basically just like pounded straight into Nightwing's chest. But we've seen those masks go through worse, and they've still stayed on. How the hell did like one hit from Blockbuster make it fly off so easily? I thought they had some kind of like glue or something on it, or some shit. I don't know.
It was probably expired. He's got a lot of shit going on. Maybe,
Yeah, fair enough.
maybe
Well,
he wasn't keeping
a
up on the
billionaire
dates
could
in his
afford some
medicine
good stuff.
cabinet.
I don't
Man.
know. I don't know. We'll see. Uh, yeah, I don't know. That was just a little bit of a nitpick for me though. But lots of cool moments. I was kind of confused at first why Batwoman was up there with Nightwing, of all people in the Bat family. Um, sure they've got along, but they never really seemed the closest to team up there until Maggie showed up. Was okay, so that's exactly as Brandon said. That's exactly it. It was a fan service moment. That's all it was.
I'm okay with it. I liked it.
For Dick as a character would have made more sense if like Tim was there or Batgirl, for example. But Batwoman too, that's all right. Yeah,
I don't know. It just
okay.
it felt like an excuse to say something that he probably had wanted to say about, DC's policy of not having Maggie and Kate get married like 8 years ago, and now he has the chance to say it. Which
Fair
again,
enough.
there's no problem there. It's just kind of weird. Like,
Yeah,
okay.
it's kind of just shoved in there. It was a very
Uh,
interesting moment.
mhm.
Dick just I don't know what this is, but
Yeah.
yeah, that was good. Um, okay, still 8.75 because there was no bite wing this issue, so that's my final score. Yeah. Oh, and brilliant art throughout. I missed that. I had that combined with another note. I forgot I missed that bit. Yeah.
Did you guys think that that was a longer read than the? Did it feel like a longer read than the Nightwing books typically have as of late?
Yeah.
Slightly,
It did.
yeah. It was definitely more dense,
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah.
yeah. I
I
thought that
think the
too. I
more
was like, I
recent issues
noticed.
have been a lot more like action packed, a lot more focused on the art rather than the
Yeah.
dialogue. And a lot of like long fight scenes as opposed to conversations.
Cool. Thought it took a little bit long to get through it because normally you get through it pretty quick.
Yep. Well, speaking of things that are quick, kill me.
Ooh.
The Flash, 785. I'm gonna hand that over to Josh, and he will give us our last summary of the night.
Oh wow, is it already the last one? All right,
Yeah.
Flash number 785, which is funny because I gave it a 78.5. No, I'm just kidding. Written by Jeremy Adams with art from Amanke Nwalpin and Jeremy Cox. Letters from Rob Lee and Torrin Clark on the cover. This is the search for Barry Allen part 3. It starts with Linda basically telling Mr. Terrific to shove it and let her go after her kids. And she does that by hitting below the belt and asking if he'd save his kid if his kid was still alive. Ouch. I mean, I get it, Linda, but that was like flat out kicking him right in the jimmies. Not cool, man. Anyway, next we go to Night Flash verse, where Jay and Irie meet another kid that'll show them where to find Night Flash, and then we get shown the predictable origin story of Night Flash. Oh, I didn't do it right. Excuse me. Night Flash. There we go. Next is Welcome to Thunder Flash verse, where it's home of Barry with a Beard, who is running away from the Mad Maxians to get a pearl, a really big pearl, the last of the universe's magic, to an unspecified place. Max and Jesse say, "Run, Barry, run," and will hold them off and flirt with each other. Next is Dot Matrix verse, aka Wallace's cool new suit verse, which is who is told that his dad is still alive. Meanwhile, Barry is still tripping and thinks Wally is Reverse Flash and that he's there to kill his family. That's why he is just pummeling away at him until Linda shows up and cold cocks Barry into next week and into having his memory restored. He says he's going to save the Justice League, but that Wally is the Flash now, and his job is to go save the world. Back to Night Flash verse. We find out that he's not the bad guy, but that the little kid called Knives is there to kill Barry, like he killed Barry's mom so long ago. And he's not a kid. He's a Maroney crime boss that ages backwards. See? We find that out after Jay Garrick shows up and gives Night Flash a clobbering. At Thunder Flash, Max and Jesse hold them off long enough for Barry to get the Pearl into some weird empty white room where he smashes the Pearl on the floor. The room explodes and a beam of light shoots up. The bad guys are defeated and everybody is happy. I'm not really sure what to make out of all of that, but it seems like a happy ending. Wallace's cool suit verse, and he sees his dad, knows that everything is wrong, sees everybody else with blacked out eyes, knows that that's wrong. Then Barry and Wally show up and save him too. They all go to Terrific Tech, and Wally explains that they rescued Barry, but he's saving the others, yada, yada, yada. And they, the Flash family, are going to save the world. So we've got Wally, Wallace, Jesse Quick, Jay Garrick, Jay and Irie, Max Mercury, Linda, and Mr. Terrific. This had 2 ending captions. One was to follow Barry into Dark Crisis number 4, and the other says next in Flash, the Flash family, which I definitely appreciate. If you want to keep this title going, etc., fill it up with more story to cover the lack of, say, Barry. It also says to follow that issue as they join the fight against Pariah's forces on Earth Zero. So does that mean that we're going to be seeing the Flash family versus Slade's army?
Yeah.
Brandon, what do you think?
Maybe, yeah. It could be something like that. We'll just have to keep reading Dark Crisis.
Just have to keep reading Dark Crisis. Well, okay, so maybe there's a reason for me to do that. Other than that, all I've got to say is that this was okay for what it was. Overall, the only real thing I liked about it was it bringing everyone together and having a book titled called The Flash Family. I've been asking that for all the heroes, and it's nice to see it happen, at least on one. It's great to look at. It brought the family together, but really it was just a few filler issues. It was okay. I gave it a 7 out of 10.
A decent wrap up. Still super fun to see all members of the Flash family together, and I guess it's good that Barry is free, and will be working to free the Justice League. So I hope that goes well. Max being all flirty was a little weird. I don't know where that came from.
And
Especially,
Jess.
yeah, and Jess, who is a married woman. I'll bet you if Rick knew about that, he would be very upset. Rick Tyler. But yeah, other than that, I mean, it was just kind of a fun ending, and I hope we get to see more Flash family team ups in the future, which, based on that description, looks like we'll definitely be getting that. So this one
You
got
know
an
what?
8 out of 10 for me.
I'm not a fan of Rick's. I don't think I'm a fan of Rick's at all.
You don't like, really? What's wrong with
I
that
don't
version
think.
of Our Man?
I
I mean, he's a little
well,
brash, I admit, but
I mean, personally, like in the real world, I can't think of a single Rick I get down with, man.
oh,
So you
well,
know what,
I mean,
Jesse
that
Quick,
sounds like a
you do your
personal
thing.
thing.
There's other versions of Our Man.
Ugh,
Wait,
no,
is it
no,
because
no,
like
no.
did you say like it's you don't get down with people named Rick?
Yeah, and I think that
Ugh,
applies to comics too, because fuck that run
ugh.
on Nightwing.
Well, it might help. His name is Rex, isn't it?
No, Rex is
Who?
his father. He is the
Yeah,
son, Rick Tyler. Yeah,
Rex is the
Oh,
shit.
okay. Sorry.
yeah.
Yeah.
So if Rick finds out about this flirtatious behavior, he's going to be very jealous and very angry and probably do something very stupid. But maybe we'll see that in the upcoming Justice Society of America book. Who knows?
Oh no.
Yeah. I don't know. Sorry. What was it you guys were saying about Jesse Quick? that you didn't like? That Rick would be
Oh,
jealous
nothing.
about?
Just that her and Max.
Oh
were
no,
flirting
I
with each
was,
other.
I was just saying it was kind of weird that Max was being all flirty. He's like a million years old. He should know better. And Jessie is a married woman, so come on, don't do Our Man like that. But no, I was just saying. Other than that, it was really fun, and
Oh,
hope we get to see more of the Flash family soon, which it looks like we will.
all right. Fair enough. Fair
Yeah.
enough. Yeah, I was excited to see the Flash family all back together again, especially with Barry and Linda showcasing her speed powers somewhat.
I've
I
been let
don't
down
know,
before.
like she didn't get a chance to actually tell Wally before he raced off, did she?
I don't think so.
No.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Jesus
So,
Christ.
so to his perspective, she
still
just
hasn't
showed
told.
up out of a portal, punched Barry, and now all of a sudden can run really fast. And he hasn't taken a moment to just like, wait, Linda, the fuck's going on? And
Right.
yeah,
Here's
So next
$500. You're gonna need to buy a lot of shoes and cheeseburgers.
yeah, yeah. So that's gonna be a thing. I didn't think about that until just now that Wally didn't have any real reaction besides the fact that Linda just punched Barry in the face. Not like, wait, honey, why are you here? How are you here? Why are you running so fast? Nothing along those
Whatever,
lines.
dude.
So I think that would be the first thought in my mind is wait, what's going on?
Fucking Wally. At this point, he's like, okay, this is happening.
Yeah, fair enough. What? Yeah. It's Tuesday.
Well, I don't care if she turns purple. Will somebody just please 30 minutes? Let me take a nap.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, he tried to take a nap like 4 issues ago, and it still hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think that was leading into the whole adventure with Justice League Dark too. I think. Yeah.
Oh, maybe
Poor
even
Wally,
further
he
back
never
then.
gets a break. So
Poor Wally.
I
Look,
really
he's so
enjoyed these alternate versions of Barry, though I still think Night Flash is the worst possible name to give this character. While it is very telling, it is still you don't want to name your hero Night Flash and have him chasing kids in a dark city. It's
Oh
just
God.
not a good idea.
It should be Speed Demon.
That would be better, but wasn't that the name of the other Barry? Speed Demon?
The one from Death Metal?
No, the one
Oh,
in
that was Red Death.
That was
No,
Red Death.
with the cars like the Mad Max. Or was he just the Flash in that? Or was he just Barry in that?
I don't think
other
they ever said
alternate
his name.
universe.
I think they just called him Barry.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I hope we haven't seen the last of these characters, like the Mad Max world. I think that story's done.
Barry with
but
a beard.
Barry with a beard. Night Flash. I hate that name. I prefer
Say
even
it-
Clown
say-
Hunter over Night
Say
Flash.
it with the whisper, and you'll like it more.
Either way, I hope we haven't seen the last of this character because at the very least, it looks like we haven't seen the last of Knives. So that's definitely some foreshadowing to come down the line. But I'm also surprised nobody realized a device was missing. Like Jay and Irie left with a device. They came back without one. You'd think even like Holt would realize, like Mr. Terrific would think, wait, guys, where's the device? There's a lot of stuff that I think they're just leaving for next issue. At least I'm hoping. So that's me already judging the next issue before it's even out. If it doesn't have these two things happening, it's getting a lower score. So this issue, though, I gave a 9.25. Thought it was fantastic.
Ooh.
Yeah, I was happy Barry's back. I like Wally's
Yeah.
Flash. Wally's still the Flash, as Barry said, and you better stay that way. But I love the Flash family as a whole. I think it's a
I think he
fantastic
is. I've been wondering about that. I don't know if you guys have as well, but
What's
by all accounts from the solicitations, like Wally is just the Flash now. Like Barry's
Yeah,
back,
yeah.
and he will be after Dark Crisis, but there's no
I mean,
sign of like Barry is taking over the title again. Like I think legitimately, and the more I think about this, the more it makes me smile. But I think legitimately people are just like, yeah, well, he's the Flash, whatever, and Barry will be on the Justice League or something like that, and literally no one would have a problem. Like they're just like, oh, okay, that's the status quo. All right, like we're coming up on almost 2 years now, and there has been no sign or any indication of Wally, being taken from the title.
Yeah.
What ever since the discovery of what was that Earth Omega, where Barry said, "I'm leaving.
Yeah.
The job's yours now." I mean,
Yeah.
it's been consistent, and I mean, I hope that it stays.
Yeah, no, me too.
I mean, he still agreed to join Justice League Incarnate. So once this is all done, I imagine he would still go to join that team.
Yeah. That's a hell
I,
of a pitch. Barry
he could
Allen,
show up
Flash of the
every once in a while.
Multiverse.
Yeah,
That could be your title right there. Barry Allen, Flash of the Multiverse.
there you go. You have him, uh, Doctor Multiverse, and President Superman, just palling around the multiverse.
Mm-hmm.
Multiverse pals.
Oh, I dig
How
it.
does that work with Hal?
The
Hal
sequel
and
to
his
Superman.
multiverse pals.
Yes. Yeah, we need to write that pitch. Okay, let's do it.
Yeah,
For
definitely.
sure.
All right,
I'm
send me a
sold.
draft by tomorrow.
Oh.
All right. Well, yeah, if we're all done talking about hypothetical books, let's get into our top 3 books for this week, and I'm going to pass it over to Rob to kick us off.
Okay, so I'm kind of in my mind reneging on some of my choices, but I'll stick with what I've written down. Yeah, so at number 3, I had Voidsong. Thought it was a very nice ending, and as I mentioned earlier, I hope to see more. Number 2, I had World's Finest, a nice little side tale, which ended off a little cliffhanger story arc, and we're going to get into more later on. Well, hopefully, this keeps up the quality. And number 1, I had The Flash. Highest score for me. Flash family's back. I love it, and that is also my favorite moment. The Flash family posing successfully together with big smiles. I thought that was really cool. I love the Flash family. They're the
And the
best
Flash
family
family
in comics.
loves you.
Oh, good. That makes me feel better.
All right, how about you, Josh?
All right. Well, my top 3, I had to step outside of the review copies and go, or not just review copies, the review titles, and dip into the honorable mentions to fill mine out. Number 3 went to Duo number 4. This series, I'm in love with it. I look forward to every next issue. Number 2, excellent wrap up. Aquaman the Flash Voidsong. That shit was awesome. Definitely recommend you go check that out. And number 1 with a 9.5 was Nightwing number 95. What a book. And with something that's a little different from how I do things, I had to I had a couple favorite moments. That opening page of Catwoman looking so classic, Batman and Catwoman, man, that was pretty. That was so pretty. In Voidsong, after Arthur saves Barry from goo immersion therapy, Arthur says to Barry, "Your wife loves you for who you are, husband and hero. If you think otherwise, you're as dumb as a seahorse." Flash says, "I assume they're very dumb." And Arthur says back, "Just absolute idiots." I laughed out fucking loud. Like my kid looked over at me because I laughed so loud. And, and then there were just throughout Voidsong after the victory, the rest of Voidsong had all these little tiny bits of humor, and that was just a great book all the way around. So those 2 parts were going to be my favorite moment there. What about you, Brandon?
At number 3, I guess I had to think about it for a little bit. But at number 3, I had The Flash. Just fun seeing the Flash family team up, and again, I really hope we get some more of that soon. Though again, I think Max better keep his mouth shut, or he's gonna get a face full of fist from Mr. Hourman. At number
Shut
2,
your mouth, Max.
I had yeah. I posted a very stupid impact meme in our Discord. I don't know if you guys saw that. I was doing that while you were giving your top 3 because it was on my mind. At number 2,
I just saw where Max Mercury flirts with your wife.
Because it's such an aggressive looking Alex Ross piece. I was like, it came to my mind almost immediately. I was like, oh shit, I gotta do it, even if it's low hanging fruit. But at number 2, I had
that's just the easiest to pick. It still tastes good.
Yeah, yeah. At number 2, I had Batman, Superman, World's Finest. Number 6, strange Silver Age logic aside, I did have a lot of fun with it, and I hope that this series continues to just get better. But at number 1, again, no surprise to anyone, I'm sure, Nightwing number 95. Looking forward to seeing what happens next, given some of the major reveals in this issue. So I'm hoping that we get some good story out of that. My favorite moment is a small panel, but one that definitely made me laugh more than I probably should have, and it's that image in Batman Superman World's Finest where Batman is fighting the tiger, and his wrist is in the tiger's mouth, and Dick is like watching from the corner, and it looks like he has no idea what to do. And I feel like if you just remove the text from that and you send it to someone with no context, it would just be absolutely hilarious. Because it's just Batman like fighting off a tiger for no reason. So I thought that was funny. But yeah.
Kitty.
Well,
He's got something with cats, man. I'm telling you.
yeah. They're always trying to bite him.
Him and Spider-Man. What the hell? Anyway.
All right, well, we've had our fun, but now it's time to go to something a little less pleasant, and we are going to transition to...
The biggest thinker.
Oh, that's nasty.
So
gentlemen, which title made your stink list this week?
I had scores that were lower than this book, but for me, the amount of marketing, the amount of hype, and the amount of the sheer audacity and laziness and theft that happened in this book, it's a guaranteed winner for my stink list. The Batman, One Bad Day, Riddler, Blue Pants, Red Sox, whatever. Number 1, fuck off. It was such drivel.
Could not agree more. I could not agree more. Even though I ranked Young Justice number 3 lower than this, or scored it lower than this, and it is an exhausting book that I tire of reading. I think just ultimately the more disappointing, and I've said it too many times at this point, but it's just a word that fits. Pathetic. Batman One Bad Day. Yeah, it's just like... It's a story you've already read, trying to ape off of the success and popularity of a story that is much better and certainly much more thoughtful than this, even though this is certainly trying to come across as thoughtful, but it just comes across as cliched. But ultimately, it's just the bigger, pathetic disappointment, embarrassing mess, garbage, trash, birdcage liner, whatever you want to call it.
You know what? Metaphorically speaking, this is like carrying around a giant ass tote in Walmart. The tote saying "I'm not shoplifting," and you're just sitting there shoving shit in. That's this.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're trying to pull, but this is just blatant theft, man.
No. But it's not Joker. It's Riddler. So it's not the same.
Oh, okay. Well, okay. Then you know what? I'm actually gonna write a story about Ratman and Night Thing, and since it's just a little different, I'll be perfectly okay, right, DC? I mean that's what you're telling me, right, DC?
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? Ratman and Night Thing.
It's like I'm gonna do a Batman story, and it's called The Court of Rats. It's not the Court of Owls, I swear. It's the Court of Rats. It's different.
Right.
It's totally different, but it's like the same story. But it's not though, because rats are not the same thing as owls. So that makes it different. Anyway,
No, it doesn't.
it's pathetic.
Yes, it is. Yes,
Well,
it is.
I cannot corroborate your choices. For me, I put Young Justice, Dark Crisis, Young Justice #3. It just beat out into last place by a quarter of a point on the scoreboard for me. So, yeah, it's on the stink list this week for all the reasons we described before. I'm still enjoying it, but it just scored the lowest, and I don't remember enough about Killing Joke to make the comparison, so I kind of enjoyed One Bad Day a bit better.
What's the next
Yeah.
crap one they're doing? Is it Two-Face?
Yes.
You know? Okay.
I don't know, but as far as the Riddler goes, I mean,
It's, not only is it not only is it Two-Face, but it's Two-Face written by Mariko Tamaki.
That's not the worst thing, but
no, that's not. That
yeah,
might be good.
She had a pretty good Gilda Dent story in the Batman Black and White anthology that they did recently. Like I was actually like, wow, this was really good. Like better than I expected it to be. So if it's anything like that, then hey, maybe it won't be half bad. But again, it's not even the creative teams, it's just the premise. The premise it makes me want to twist my neck all the way around. That was colorful. But it's fitting because One More Day is also very dark. So, I guess you could say I'm having
total Beetlejuice face reaction.
Yeah. I guess you could say I'm having a bad day. I'm having one bad day.
It gave me a bad day.
My one bad day was reading this book.
Hey, I tell you what, I made
It
sure
turned
that
me into the Joker.
I read it at the very end of my comic books. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
My villain origin story was I read this book and it made me so upset and frustrated that I became a Batman villain called the Librarian, and I just go around and
from way back.
Yeah.
You be the answer.
I'll be the answer. Yeah, I'll be the answer.
It's in retaliation to the Riddler. You be the fucking answer.
I'll be the answer if you'll be the question, but a different question, not that question.
Okay, I'll be a different.
We'll create a new question, and we'll be a
duo
of villains called the Question and the Answer, and we'll
but
give
I
Batman
only speak in onomatopoeias.
Yeah. Oh, like onomatopoeia?
Yeah. But I'm called
not
Quest.
like onomatopoeia. Different
Right.
from onomatopoeia. Yeah.
Right. But I'm the question.
Yeah. No, it makes sense.
So it's
But not like the question.
Yeah, no.
The question certainly wouldn't speak in onomatopoeias.
No.
And I can
you
tell
imagine
you
if-
that onomatopoeia certainly wouldn't be doing detective work.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Can you imagine if that was someone's origin story? Like in a comic book, they read a comic and it radicalized them, and they just became a villain. It sounds silly enough. That sounds like something in Doom Patrol, and I feel like
Oh my
that would
god,
make for a
dude!
hell of a story.
It sounds like it could be based off of current events.
Yeah.
Was that not technically Superboy Prime's origin?
Oh, that's right. I there was something scratching at the back of my head. Although I guess it technically wasn't comic books. It was more like the fact. It was more weird meta commentary, but it was more like the fact that the post-crisis universe had gotten so dark that it radicalized him. Which, again, I was surprised while reading Infinite Crisis that Superboy Prime didn't turn around and present his middle finger and say, fuck you, DC, as well. But then that might have been a little bit too on the nose, you know.
Fuck you, you're cool. Fuck you. Sorry.
Who is he saying you're cool to?
I don't know, but
Jim Lee?
maybe. Here you go. Surely somebody in there is all right.
All right. Well, is there anything else we have left to add?
Yeah, apparently Neil deGrasse Tyson tried to make the bat signal defunct by disproving its efficacy, and then Twitter just rained
What
on
does
his
that
parade.
mean?
He tried
it's
to
not
show how
possible?
yeah.
Yeah, it only works on cloudy nights, not during the day, to which everybody pointed out that's because he doesn't come out during the day.
Yeah, that's sort of the point.
Right? And Gotham is like perpetually cloudy like London.
Yeah. I was just about to say that too. I was like, isn't the seasonal weather just like entirely clouds?
Every
Don't you usually
day,
see it
every
illuminated in
day of the
clouds?
season. Yes.
I don't
Superman just like
remember
blows
seeing
the
it
clouds
illuminated
from
in the night
Metropolis
sky.
over to Gotham,
Yeah.
so Batman has a way to
Of
go out
course,
at
of
night.
course.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, if we're done chatting about the efficacy of the bat symbol, I think we'll move on to whether or not we have any titles to dump. Doesn't sound like we have anything. The pathetic, embarrassing One Bad Day books are monthly, so I mean it's not really like it's that much of a commitment, or I think it's bi-monthly or something like that. I don't know, but
I mean, and we can't automatically assume that each of them are going to be as horrible and blatant a ripoff and just a giant waste of my time and money and attention. We can't tell that.
Although I certainly think they will be, but yes, you're right. We can't automatically write them off. But let's try and give them the benefit of the doubt.
We should try and be better role models.
Yes, yeah. All right, well, if we have nothing to add there, then we will wrap it up for the night. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening. We hope you had a good time. We certainly did. Make sure to stop by next week, as we will be covering all the DC titles, as we normally do. But with that, there's only one way that we say goodbye around here. Until next time.
Be good to each other.
And don't be a robot. Mariko Tamaki writing Two-Face in a Black Label book.
It's not a terrible idea. It's just it's the premise that's at fault. Maybe you could tell a good Two-Face story. Just don't try and tell a Two-Face story that's exactly like The Killing Joke.
Yeah, and if that's all that these are going to be, or just going to be, what if The Killing Joke was Catwoman?
Yeah.
Then Jesus Christ.
Well, that's what breaks my heart, because like you look at these creative teams and they're amazing. I mean, well, except for one, which I know is probably, if you haven't already seen it, going to make you have an aneurysm.
I think I know what
is it Bendis and
about.
Roswell?
Yeah, no, it's not. Rob knows what I'm talking about. But most of the other ones are really good. It's Bane, yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to know it, Josh?
Yeah.
For Bane, it's written by Joshua Williamson and drawn by Howard Porter.
Oh God.
Which, I mean, I don't think it'll be bad, because Deathstroke Inc. was pretty fun, but
Howard Porter is like hit or miss, mostly miss, but I mean, I don't hate it. I'm not a fan, but it's not super bad.
I saw the
It's
cover.
not like when Otto
it
Schmidt is bad.
Bane. Like, it looks like a pretty good Bane, but yeah, no. That's why it breaks my heart. It's just like they have these amazing creative teams. They got G. Willow Wilson and Jamie McKelvey.
Oh, wow.
Fucking what? To do a Catwoman story. And if it's just going to be a Killing Joke ripoff, that is such a waste.
Yeah.
That sounds so good, like together for a Catwoman story.
Yes.
Yeah. The cover looks
Jesus
amazing.
Christ.
What also will kind of break your heart, Josh. So they have a team of John Ridley and Giuseppe Camicoli.
Uh-huh.
And they're doing Penguin.
They're doing Penguin.
Yeah. Your least favorite Batman
Christ.
villain.
I hope it's like done like gritty cop drama. If that's a
part of it
creative
will
team,
be. The other part of it will be the sad origin story of Penguin that you've already seen, but now you're seeing it again, but more dramatic.
Don't need a fucking Penguin origin goddamn story.
Yes, you do.
No,
Shut
I
up.
don't.
You need to see how sad their lives are so you can
only
understand
thing
that
we
they
need
have
to-
one bad day that turned them into a villain
See,
or whatever it
bullshit.
is. I don't even. Yeah.
They don't get a voice. If they don't think that he should at least have one hand that's mostly flipper, then they shouldn't get a voice. Nobody draws him like that.
Oh,
Also,
no,
doesn't this kind of
I'm
go against
short
the
like
point?
Danny
Like,
DeVito.
what
Let
exactly?
me cry into my mounds of money.
Yeah. Wait. What exactly was Riddler's one bad day? Killing Joke, like the line, "Oh, I had one bad day." It made sense because he had a shitty day where he was a part of a heist that went south and then fell into a vat of acid, and his wife was killed earlier that day. And I'm not counting the bullshit Jeff Johns retcon where he was revealed to be a wife beater, because who gives a shit? That was a pathetic attempt to justify it, but that actually was one bad day. Like, he was just a guy who his entire life fell apart, and then suddenly he became the Joker. What exactly was Riddler's bad day in this case? He failed the test a couple times. That wasn't one bad day. Or no, he didn't
It
fail
was
it.
to
He got
him.
one question wrong. But no, but I'm
was
like,
to
what
him.
was the one specific bad day that turned him into the Riddler? Was it when he killed the professor?
Oh, maybe. Because that would have been the ultimate thing that
Yeah,
turned him
they
into
like
the
they don't
Riddler.
even. It's the name of the book, and they don't even do that right.
Yeah.
What exactly is the
It's
one
when he
bad
found
day?
out he got. It's when he found out that he got the question wrong. That's what broke him.
So is this
Maybe?
like is Two-Face
Bro,
going to
I
be
mean,
like
just
a young
just
Harvey
like-
Dent where he
just
shows
from a
like a split
psychology
personality?
degree thing.
Yeah, I would
I'm
assume.
sorry,
Yeah,
say that again?
Harvey's. Oh no, Rob, go ahead. I think I know what you're getting at.
Oh, I was done. I said that. I said it.
Oh no, I was just gonna say I would assume his one bad day is when he got the acid thrown in his face and lost everything. But yeah,
I mean, there's that, but we've seen that like so many times.
but you
So
need
many
to see it
times.
again.
And if you're
No,
going,
we don't. That's so
deeper.
dumb.
I don't know. I think
So
this whole
dumb.
this whole thing is a bad idea. I don't know. If that's the whole case, is it's just each villain having a bad day that gives them their raison d'etre. It just